Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome from Stockholm, the second major of the year. It's going to be an absolute highlight. My name is still one of the HYROX MCs on my side. This is not just my co-host, it's the expert of the day here, Greg from HYROX Live, the podcast, website, coaching business. The man knows it inside out. He's erased himself, so whatever he says today goes. Greg, good morning. Thanks for taking the time.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's going to be spectacular. What can we expect from the morning here in Stockholm?
We can expect the lineups are stacked for the women's race. We've got the world champion racing. We've got the world record holder racing. We've got an ex-world record holder racing. We've got Michaela Norman returning. The lineups are crazy and very similar on the men's side. We've got Hunter McIntyre racing in an individual race for the first time this season against Alexander Ronkovic, who's like Mr. Consistent in HYROX, and then the remainder of the lineup is stacked, and anyone could podium in these races.
And it's been amazing. Like you were here yesterday already. We had the briefing with the pros and everything. That had the walkthrough. We've got a new setup which we're going to look at in a moment a little bit, which is absolutely spectacular for everybody out there on the screens, for the athletes as well. But you can feel the nerves. Like, I think Chicago, the first major, that was sort of an unknown. It was a new thing. And now even athletes understand this counts. This matters in the world of HYROX and everything, and you can feel it. You know, there were a lot of questions. You can feel the nerves and everything. Does it feel different in Chicago to you?
It does. I think there's, because of the way that the qualifying process works, like you can finish fourth maybe in the men's side, potentially fifth in the women's side. So I think more of the people in the lineup feel that they've got a chance for qualifying for the World Championships this time round, whereas maybe they didn't necessarily believe in Chicago. Whereas, like, I think really all the people in this race today feel that they've got a chance of qualifying for the World Championships, and that's means there's more excitement, more nerves than otherwise maybe we saw in Chicago.
Absolutely. And you said it already. It's like an absolutely stacked field. We've got very different athletes, so different abilities and so on. Some more focused on the running, some more on the workouts. We're going to go into details. We're going to see beautiful heads up today, like some of our top athletes. And maybe for you viewers out there as well, just to give you an idea what's going to happen. We've got the pre-show running for about 15 minutes, then 9 o'clock sharp. Here in Stockholm, the start of the women's pro race. We're going to fly through it. It's going to be exciting, spectacular. And then it's just a very brief moment. It gives you just enough time to grab, a bottle of water or something, and then get ready for the men's race, starting at 10:15. But again, a little lead up. We're going to introduce the top athletes and everything. But that is sort of jumping the gun a little bit, because I'm sure there's some out there, who went down the rabbit hole this morning, waking up, getting the phone out, scrolling down on YouTube, and they just came across the stream here, not knowing 100% what is HYROX. So, Greg, what is HYROX?
HYROX is a functional fitness event which consists of a kilometre of running and then a functional station repeated 8 times. So there's 8 kilometres of running in total and 8 stations. And it's something for everyone. We're looking at the elites today, but it's something that really most people with a general level of fitness can do. And it's great.
Hey, why don't we just take a look at it, what it looks like.
I'm gonna ride, hot, gonna yag, you're pretty bright. My lady papa's spinning out, her lady popping molly, watch waiting on me. Yogi my area, keep on heading if you want. I drive it like an I don't wanna hear you, just dying on like a mango, cutting my hair. I just keep going, though, so gonna make what's I non-stop. Kelly is a New York boom, we don't hop on, drive on the riding horse, honey berry, climbing off, that's the what I wanna do. Weekend night, mooney walk, non and cool, just do it. Like Nike, just do it. Get to know me and I never flow. Got job and only winning in and chill. Baby, thanks on my bell. Yeah, I'm feeling first class.
We've got plenty of time in a moment to talk about why this is much harder than it looks. But we want to take a little look. You mentioned the majors qualification already. Let's take a look at it, what the majors qualification is gonna look like, the system and everything. We're going to have a graphic for that in a second, but it's really coming down to a few races. Here we go. Take us through it, Greg.
Yeah, so there's 4 major races. This is the second major race of the season so far. We had Chicago 3 weeks ago. So there's 4 major races through which you can qualify for the World Championships in Nice in June. There's also 2 last chance qualifier races. So for any spaces that aren't taken through the major races, they can be claimed through the last chance qualifiers, which are in Cologne and Anaheim.
And that's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. We're going to talk about that later on. It's going to be very different to what we're seeing at the majors. We're going to see so many surprise performances, new faces out there trying their luck, but more on that later, because you know, this is the second major of the year, which means we had one already. We had Chicago already, and we've got nice footage from Chicago. We had it in the open already, but you were on site. You know, let's take a quick look, if we got it ready, what Chicago looked like, the first major of the year.
So yeah, Chicago is, I think it was the biggest American event to date. On the men's side, there were some crazy impressive performances. We saw the third and fourth fastest times ever from Ryan Kent, Rylan Shadegg. Alexander Ronchevich claimed the third and final spot in the World Championships with his performance. Mr. Consistent, he's always there. On the women's side, we saw Lauren Weeks and Megan Jacoby, like probably the two top women in the sport at the moment. They battled it out. Megan ultimately came out on top and dominated that race. And then Linda Meyer, an ex-world record holder who perhaps has been off of form, so, you know, for maybe a year or so, she claimed third spot in a really impressive performance as well.
And we're going to see them all today again in the race here. It's going to be an amazing head-to-head. You talked about Megan and Lauren. You know, we had the outcome Lauren beating Megan for a long time at many races, and then in Chicago it was just the moment of Megan, who actually got experience with the race here and with her competition with Michaela. They started here last year already in the doubles, and when we had the first edition in Stockholm, and put on a spectacular race. So let's have a look a little bit at those two here. The head-to-head between Lauren and Megan. We see the overall times. What do you expect today?
It's hard to know what to expect, but there's so many. You could make a case for either of them beating the other one. Lauren has previously, in previous races, beaten Megan when in Europe. So she beat her in Maastricht, and then she beat her at the World Championships in Manchester. Megan, on the other hand, won 3 weeks ago in Chicago fairly dominantly, and is also the world record holder in 58.58. So it's very hard to make a case for either one. Another interesting dynamic in this race is that they both now qualified for the World Championships. So are they going to take a chance? Are they going to go out like even hotter than normal from the start and try and push it and go for a time, go for a world record? That remains to be seen, obviously.
And you know, it's also like, what do you work on? If we look at the run times, they're as even as it gets. I mean, 33.27 versus 33.28 in average. You don't make much of a difference there. But we see it here in the push. In the pull, for example, there is opportunities for either side. And probably, have you had a little chat with them, like what the focus was?
So the other week in Chicago, Megan's running in particular was very impressive. Like, I think she feels like she's her strongest running that she's had in HYROX at the moment. Historically, Lauren, even though those average sled times don't necessarily show it, when they've gone head-to-head, Lauren has dominated on the sleds, and then it's Megan that potentially can crawl back in the later stages of the race. So what we saw in Chicago, when Megan held up with Lauren in those early stages and then pulled away in the later stages of the race. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if that plays out today. Maybe jet lag will play a part because they both had to travel a long way. We'll see. We'll
find out. There's two who didn't have to travel that far. Jet lag isn't that much of an issue. It's our second head-to-head that we got in the race you want to take a closer look at. Here we go with Michaela Norman, Linda Meyer. I mentioned Michaela already, an amazing athlete who hit HYROX not too long ago, coming from obstacle course racing. I remember when we had her in Hamburg for the first time, she was like, oh yeah, no, my coach decided I should do this, and we only had like 2 months to train for it specifically, and she just went in like a bomb. It was amazing to see. And then Linda Meyer, who just bit by bit worked her way up and is just there, and you know, always flies a little bit under the radar. She's not as loud as the other athletes, I want to say, but looking at the numbers and everything, what do you see happening here?
So yeah, it's very interesting. Like, Michaela actually broke the world record on her first race. Now, unfortunately, she was ill in Manchester at the World Championship, so we didn't see her there. She has raced since though in Dubai and got that time of just over an hour. So very impressive performance on her return. It's going to be interesting to see what she can do today. You mentioned Linda and you know, her performances, like that average run total there maybe doesn't do where she's at right now justice. She actually had a very similar run time to Lauren Weeks in Chicago just 3 weeks ago. So her running time in particular lately has improved. And like I've mentioned a few times now, she is an ex-world record holder. At the start of last season, she broke the world record with that 102. Since then, obviously, we've had Michaela come in, we've had Megan come in. Like Lauren's performance has been impressive, but if Linda's coming back to form, then she's a real contender for this race.
And we had her in front of the camera earlier today as well, and got a word from herself. Let's listen what she had to say, Michaela Norman.
Since I got very sick and heart muscle inflammation, so I was totally off and on hospital for over 3 months. So I had to say no to the World, so 2023, which was horrible, of course. I always want to be the one that want to break a new world record. I always want to be the one winning all the Majors. I'm super excited to be in this season now because my doctor told me if you're very, very lucky, maybe you can be a part of the Worlds next year. And now I just feel very thankful to be on the field.
There you have it from herself. She is back. A story we heard from a lot of other athletes like Linda Meyer. Later on, Tim Wienisch. They're all still building up and so on, trying their shot again, coming from injury or illness. But it is time for the showdown. Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting this close to the walk-on. Let's throw it over to our man on the floor here, the legend, Faisal.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be calling up our elite female athletes one by one to the stage. Hold tight. All right, here we go. From Austria, Alice Schuer. Make some noise. Let's go. Coming up next from Portugal is Daniela Couto. From the UK, we have the one and only Kate Davey. And next up, also from the UK, is Zara Piagiani. From Germany, we have Sika Arning. From the USA, we have Amy Bevlic-Aqua. All right, from Vive la France, Allez le Bleu, we have Jezebel Kremer. And Germany, we have Alina Vinlo. Also from Germany, Viola Oberlander. From the UK, we got Rebecca Mason. And from Switzerland, we have Miriam von Ra. From Germany, the one and only Linda Meyer. And your home girl from Sweden, give it up for Michaela Norman. Your runner-up world champion, Megan Jacoby. And she needs no introduction, your reigning world champion, Lauren Weeks.
All right, we've seen them. We've seen the lineup. Faisal the man sending our athletes out towards the start line, the start tunnel. Just a little lap around, a little warm-up, and then we're just moments away, everybody, from the start here, the second major of the year in Stockholm. Greg, excitement levels through the roof right now?
Through the roof, through the roof. Can't wait to see what these ladies can put on for us today. Like, we've got, you know, the best ever in the sport all up against each other. We've got like Megan and Lauren, who we saw in Chicago, but then Michaela, Linda, Miriam, and then just like, you know, I could go on all day.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to go on all day. Well, almost. We're going to go on for just over, you know, around 2 hours with everything, with the interviews and so on that we're going to see. But we're going to kick it off in a moment. I can see them over there. You cannot out there, but we can in here. We've got a straight line, a straight view at the athletes there. And it was beautiful to see just here, just now, the atmosphere as they're gathering, getting ready for the lineup and everything. And, you know, lots of smiles. I think everybody is super excited. Great to see the rock stars from the United States here. The reigning world champion. We saw her walk on last and so on. It is going to, here we see the start list. We just had it for a moment. It is going to be an amazing day. Here we go, the start list. All right, let's take a quick look here. Alice Schura from Austria, Daniela Couto from Portugal, Kate Davies, Sarah Piergiani, Seka Anning. So a lot of the names there, like Seka Anning, not too known on the circuit yet. She had a fantastic race in Hamburg. Qualifying, we got Amy Bevilacqua, Jezebel Kramer, Elina Wilno, Viola Oberländer. For me, one of the dark horses in the race. She's always, I want to say, a little bit on edge in terms of the amount of training there, but if she is fit, if she is healthy, she's a force to reckon with. Rebecca Mason, we saw it. Linda Meyer, of course, in there as well. Miriam van Roer, Michaela Norman, Megan Jacoby, Lauren, and maybe you can hear it. I hope you can pick it up out there. It is goosebumps. It is goosebumps galore here right now, Greg. We've got their start song. We can see the athletes, everybody. We're going to leave you with the moments here, with the atmosphere for just a second. Let's get ready for the second major of the season here, live from Stockholm. Seconds to go, everybody. Get comfortable in your chairs, grab the popcorn. It is showtime. Here, second HYROX Major of the season in Stockholm. It's a go! All right. Whew, a little bit of excitement there, Greg, as we see them flying out the gates. You were talking, we see her right here, super comfortable. Megan Jacoby. Not a surprise to see Lauren Weeks trying to really pull the field from the front. That is not a surprise at all. But Megan Jacoby, you said it, she needs to stay with Lauren in the early stages of the race, and then she has a very good shot towards the later stages of the race.
Yeah, we do. We always see Lauren going out hot. You know, I think that's just how she races. That's all she knows. That's all she can do. But I think she likes to stretch that field. She likes to make them run, you know, faster than they really ideally want to in these opening laps, because you can ruin your race very early on if you go too hot. Like I mentioned earlier, Megan and Lauren have both qualified for the World Championship, so is that going to change how they approach this race? I spoke to Megan for a little while yesterday and asked her that question, and I got the impression that meant she is going to go out hotter than otherwise she might do. Otherwise, like she did in Chicago, she didn't allow herself to get too stretched in Chicago. I think she's going to go a little faster today. I think she wants a fast time. I think she wants to see what she's capable of. She said she's feeling good with her running. So you know, the only way to do that is to test it and see how she's feeling. And it's a risk. Like, you can blow up, but she's a very gritty athlete. And if anyone could like go out hot and cling on, is her.
And it is fast right now, the way she's going out. You can see that little gap to Michaela Norman, Viola Oberländer sitting in there as well, right behind them. Interesting to see with Michaela Norman, like, wearing long. I mean, it gets warm out there in those workouts, but that's how she's comfortable racing here. So very different approach there in terms of outfit already. And then one of the athletes I'd love to talk about, because she's so unique in that field in a certain way, is Miriam van Roer. From Switzerland. Very different athlete.
Yeah, completely different athlete. It's easy to look at HYROX and think it's primarily a running event because over 50% of the race is running. Miriam is like not the strongest runner in the field. In fact, I think it's fair to say she's one of the weakest runners in the field. But what she can do on the stations is fairly incredible. Like, she's probably the top ranked on almost all of the stations. Her lunges and wall balls, like towards the end of the race in particular, are unbelievable. Like, she can do unbroken wall balls quicker than all the other ladies can do unbroken wall balls. So you know, she's certainly not going to be one that we're going to see leading from the start, leading from the early runs, but she can claw her way back on the stations. Now, how fit she is, how good she's feeling remains to be seen. This is the first race that we've seen her in this season. She pulled out of the World Championship race in Manchester, so this is the first time that we've seen her in HYROX since then, so it remains to be seen how she performs. But yes, on her day, she's one of the quickest ladies ever, and her stations are unbelievable.
And they're just heading towards the in now to the workout here. You see how brutal the pace from Lauren Weeks is. Megan Jacoby is always getting kind of close. You can see her really run within herself, trying to stay there, but then Lauren pulling away again a little bit and opening that gap, especially to the ladies behind. You can see Michaela coming around the turn just now.
This is, I would say, looking at this early on in the race, this is quite a gap that they're opening up from the other ladies, like especially like strong ladies like Michaela, like Linda, who are good runners. That's already a big gap for the first run.
But let's not forget, you know, you said it yourself, they are taking a risk. You know, they're qualified, so no trouble on that end. They can risk something, they can go for super fast times, they can go for records, they can try out things. It's a beautiful situation. If it works out, well, you know, you had a great trip to Stockholm, you've got an even, you know, you add to your reputation, and on a good day you add to your wallet, and if not, well, you learned something, because everything is gearing up at the end of the day towards the World Championships in Nice in June this year.
Yeah, you do. You can learn a lot from a race, and like sometimes you've got to make mistakes, but you've got to back yourself. And I've talked with a lot of guests on my podcast, like people like Chris Hinshaw. We had Eve Muirhead on the podcast recently, talking in her sport how when she went to the Olympics, when she won the Olympic gold, it was when she backed herself, when she wasn't afraid of losing anymore. Chris Hinshaw has talked about something similar with me. Is you've got to back yourself sometimes and take risks in some of these races, and when you've qualified already, you can afford to take these risks, and you'll learn from it.
Absolutely, and it's so interesting to see the athletes and the different ways they tackle the ski erg. If you look at Lauren in the front, it's a very smooth, a very calm movement, and then you look at Megan, who does like this almost like arching back in something, a lot more movement in the body in general. Michaela is doing the good old roll around with the arms. Have you figured it out for yourself? There's so much discussion about the right technique at the ski erg as they're going. We're seeing it here. Michaela going 1:59, 2 minutes on that. She is losing a little bit on the time that we saw from Lauren, for example, who was on a 1:54 kind of pace. Now up to 1:55, 1:56. But you see they're both in the range of 300 meters now. But going back to the technique, like, have you tried it for yourself? Is there a better way?
I think there is a better way. Whether I've cracked it or not, really, I certainly couldn't claim. I don't. You certainly don't really want like windmill arms. I don't think that's very efficient for a kilometre. Like just like want a straight up and a straight down as much as possible. And it's not just an arm workout. It's, you know, it comes from the core. You want to bring that down rather than turn it into just a straight arm workout.
Yeah, we just saw it in that long shot there. Viola Oberländer, it's almost like from the side angle, it almost looks like she's knocking the competition out. She's going like a wide arm proper swing and so on, and very typical for her. It'll be interesting to see how she fares. We don't have her split times, but you can see here Lauren Weeks still going 158. So even though she went into it quite hard, she is still sticking to that 157, 158 pace. 600 meters done and dusted for Lauren, 600 for Megan. Michaela just catching up now. We see Linda Meyer there as well, going very strong, one of the taller athletes in the race. And
I've surveyed a lot of these athletes, asking them what their 2 kilometre time is on the ski when they're completely fresh, just to get an idea of how good they are. And most of these ladies, that like the average for this field is just over 8 minutes for a 2 kilometre ski. Megan is particularly strong here. I think she's got a like 7:38 2K. Last time I asked her, that might have improved since then. So they are like very, very, very strong. And to be going like sub 2 pace here within a HYROX is a pretty fast start for these ladies. Now you do have to be careful on this station, because you can, it's you know, like we keep talking about pacing yourself, going out too hot, all that. You can very easily go over that line on the ski and only save yourself like a few seconds as well. It's a very fine line that you need to tread. But like we keep saying, if these two in particular are going for a fast time, then they want to push that and like get every second that they can out of the machine.
you know, and just looking at it, that's something we talked about very briefly earlier in the opening and so on. For everybody who's not that familiar with HYROX and so on, it is hard to fathom how exhausting, how hard an individual workout like this one can be if you throw in all those other elements and so on, and the run in between. But our first athlete is, actually our first two is off the ski erg. All right, so we've got Lauren Weeks, we got Megan Jacoby out back on the course. There is a little bit of a gap, so Lauren Weeks just managed to, you know, get another 10 meters or something on Megan Jacoby here, the two Americans in the front. And we could see it very well as they were running out. Now Michaela Norman out, 14 seconds down, and then Rebecca Mason from Great Britain. Viola Oberländer now in the picture, she's out as well, but she was losing time. She was going 2:04s, 2:05s, you know, where Lauren was still going 1:56, 1:58. That matters. We see Jezebel now, the French lady, coming out, another athlete that's very strong on the workouts, and Miriam van Roer. You know, the shortest athlete in the race. We just saw her run through here. Size matters in this situation, and it's a big advantage for her on a lot of the workouts, because if you look at things like burpees, where you need, you know, full straight body position in between and so on, wall balls, where you need those fast body repetitions and so on, lunges. It is an advantage. Lunges.
Yeah. One point coming out of the ski there that I think I made is Rebecca Mason in fourth. That's a very good position for her at that stage of the race. I don't think like ski is necessarily her strongest point. She doesn't have a hugely weak station overall, Rebecca, but I wouldn't say that like the ski is her strongest. To come out fourth at this point would be very encouraging for her.
Well, let's talk about her a little bit. We chatted before the race, and you had her listed at one of your dark horses, not necessarily for the win, but definitely as an athlete to watch. Why?
Before I answer, it's probably worth making the point, if we've not made that clear yet, the top three qualify for the World Championships in these major races. But if any of the athletes that finish in the top three have already qualified, then that place can roll down, and it can roll down as far as fifth. So what we could see here today, because Lauren, Megan and Linda already qualified in Chicago, if they're there again, if they're up there again, then the places could roll down to fourth and fifth potentially. That opens the potential for qualifying up to a lot of the field, and that's certainly, like, I would consider Becky Mason really in contention for one of those spots. Now Becky is like the fastest UK athlete. She's an ex-gymnast. We've seen her times consistently get better and better and better through her time in the sport. and she continues to chip away. She continues to improve on her stations. She's a good runner. She's a solid runner. She's a very good compromise runner as well. If you look at her like fresh run times, like her 5K, her 10K, and then compare those to what she is able to do in a HYROX, they're not as far apart as they might be for some other athletes. So when she's compromised, when she's struggling, when she's got to dig deep, she's one of the athletes that can certainly do it.
And it'll be interesting to see. Another one coming just into the picture now at the end would be, for example, Viola Oberländer, that I had a little bit on the radar there as well. You had Miriam van Roer. I'm going to go out on a limb here a little bit and say this is going to be one of the toughest races for Miriam van Roer she had so far, because it is an insane pace those two ladies on the screen right now are pushing. This is crazy. I mean, Linda Meyer, you can see she lost a little bit on the workout and then she catches up on the run. She's slowly getting back to that run speed. You said it in Chicago, she was close to Lauren and Megan in terms of running, so her running is getting better again. But what those two are doing in the front right now, this is almost a third of a lap that they have on the competition already after one workout.
Yeah, it's a very significant gap that's opened. Like we said earlier, you wouldn't necessarily expect Miriam to be up there at this stage of the race with them, but people like Michaela and Linda, you would have thought would be closer at this stage than they appear to be. So, yeah, Lauren and Megan have certainly gone out hot here.
But what we saw there just now from Megan Jacoby, that was a very, very good move. Psychologically, what she did there, she went a little faster through the workout zone on the way to the workout, to the sled push, to make sure she was right on the shoulder of Lauren Weeks going into the sled push there, showing, hey, I'm here. You're not having a head start. I'm staying with you. And, you know, it's also something now when you're shoulder to shoulder, you go that extra bit and push a little bit harder. So very good move there from Megan Jacoby, but she is paying for the high pace here in the run right now. She needs to take a quick rest.
Yeah, and I mean, on the sleds, you never quite know how the sleds are going to feel from venue to venue, from event to event. The fact that they're taking little pauses, like that can be good pacing in general, because you don't want to blow up your legs and then really suffer for the rest of the race. But if they are taking pauses, and like Lauren's just done there as well, it means they're not necessarily moving as well as, you know, as some other times.
And let me tell you, the burn into your entire body, but especially the legs, the calves on this workout, those legs that you then need for the run, it is brutal. Running feels really, really strange afterwards. If you haven't tried it yourself, I can only highly recommend it to everybody. You know, if you got a fun workout like pushing your neighbor's car up a slightly inclined road, do that, or join us at one of the HYROX events, which is another option, because that's a great thing, you know. We've got another race after this one. We've got the men's elite, but then we've got the open race here in Stockholm. 2,000 athletes coming together, and it's a spectacular show. You're just coming off the biggest event ever in the history of HYROX. Close to 12,000 athletes on 2 days in London, which was just mind-blowing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I think it was probably the best HYROX event I've been to. Amazingly well run, like very smoothly well run, considering there was like 12,000 athletes, you know, 20,000 spectators. There's Lauren just leaving the sled put, and then there's Megan just behind her there. So they're out of that sled, they're through there, and that's Michaela just starting her final length, I believe. So she's a whole length of the sled push behind, and then Becky's next to her there. I think that's Becky, who's just having a pause there. So yeah, there's a significant gap opened up. I'll just give you some stats as they went into the sled push. There was a 20-second gap. So Lauren and Megan essentially came in together, and then Michaela was 23 seconds behind them, and then Becky Mason was 10 seconds behind Michaela, with Linda Meyer closely behind, and Viola Oberländer closely behind her. So, and then there's Becky just leaving the sled push there. So again, Becky's actually like up in third place now, so that's very encouraging for her here.
Oh, done really well. Really good workout from Linda Meyer as well, who seems to find a groove right now. You know, Michaela Norman, she lost a little bit of positions. As we see our little banner here, it's very cool. The new merchandise, the new HYROX merchandise is now in the online store as well. So if you want to look as good as Greg and want to be as fast as Lauren Weeks, you know, go online and get your merch or your HYROX merch from Puma. But yeah, the two here in the front, but you said it, behind there is this race for the qualification, which is so important, and that is a race right now between Rebecca Mason, between Linda Meyer, who seem to, you know, like they went past Michaela Norman. So in all fairness, I think heavyweights, not exactly Michaela's favorite. You know, she's going to have her time a little later in the race, but it is extremely exciting, and this is beyond exciting right now to see Megan Jacoby taking the lead from Lauren Weeks on the run course, putting the foot down, making a statement and saying, hey, listen up, Chicago was no surprise, I'm here.
No, and I just looking at them now, obviously we don't know how they're feeling, but I remember in Manchester at the World Championships, Lauren looked so strong through that race, and especially so when she was coming out of the run. She, like the word of the day was relentless. She looked relentless on her runs. She doesn't look relentless today. She looks like she's struggling already with these runs. Like Megan is starting to open a gap up already. Megan looks much stronger, looks much easier. I think she's suffering a bit as well, to be fair, but Lauren is dropping back a little there, so I think she's certainly suffering more than maybe she was back in Manchester.
I mean, for sure, you know, she was taking this risk and so on, and she went out in a mind-boggling pace, without a doubt. But if you just look at the body language right now, Megan Jacoby, she looks just as fresh, I want to say, as in that first run kilometer, and especially from a running point of view, if you look at it with the core very centered, very stable. She lets the legs just fly behind, do the work. She's got the quads and everything super relaxed. So you compare that to Lauren, who looked exactly the same in the first run kilometer, and you can see she's struggling more and more to engage the core. Her shoulders are whipping around more and more, and just not running as smooth as Megan Jacoby. And I think Lauren Weeks is really struggling right now. This is going fast right now, opening this gap. And I want to see what's happening behind in a second, how Rebecca Mason and Linda Meyer are dealing with that situation, because they're going to see that now on the long straight. Yeah,
they are. It's worth just mentioning the early splits for these runs. We've talked about them, but Megan was 3:53 for that first run and 3:47 for the second run, which is a fairly crazy pace, to be honest. Whether they can keep that up or not remains to be seen. It looks like Lauren's certainly struggling too. It's Lauren just coming in for the sled pull here, but Megan's running in there as well. But like you were just saying, Till, her running is looking so much stronger.
Lauren Weeks is coming in, and Megan Jacoby has overtaken.
We had that in the briefing yesterday. You know, they've got the workout lane they're designated in their station. Everybody got their own head judge designated. So really to make sure everybody has their own judge, every workout, every repetition gets executed perfectly. And it is a good 2-3 pulls that Megan Jacoby has on Lauren Weeks right now. And this is a little more of the workout that Megan enjoys more than Lauren. So she's in a really good position right now.
Yes, she is. And she's looking very strong. She's just chipping away. Need to have a little bit of hustle on the sled pull, I think. Just keep moving. It's easy to want to pause. It's easy to want to walk the lengths of the sled pull lane as you go to the other end. But Megan had a little jog there. She's moving through that. She's looking strong. I certainly don't feel like Lauren is closing the gap on her here. Another point to make is that this is a particularly strong station for some of the other ladies down the field. So Linda is quite a good station. Michaela, this is where she does start to come into her own a little bit on the stations. Like the ski and the sled push aren't necessarily like the strong points for Michaela. She starts to claw back here. And then Viola as well, actually. She's actually got one of the best sled pull times ever in the women's pro in HYROX. So this is another area where she can claw back time. So those three ladies in particular, you could see close the gap a little.
Well, we will find out. They've got the work cut out for them here right now at the third workout. Michaela Norman actually looking quite good right now, looking comfortable again. I think it's fair to say the skinniest athlete in the race. It is sometimes surprising how you can get this much power, you know, out of a very, very skinny physique, but an incredibly powerful woman as well. Which brings me to the point, just looking at them. We've got athletes like Lauren and Megan. We've got athletes like Miriam, but then also Michaela. Is there a perfect version, a perfect body type or athletic type for HYROX?
I think it remains to be seen whether in 10, 20 years time of HYROX we see that like a typical body type has been established or not. We'll see. At the moment, that's certainly not the case, and I think that shows like how well designed, if you like, the race is. How like there is that obvious need for endurance and being a good runner, but there is that need for strength and being able to like the muscular endurance, and that doesn't necessarily suit one body type more than the others. Like we've talked about how good Miriam is on the stations, and she has a completely different body type to some of the to Michaela, for example, who's also very good on the stations, but a much stronger runner. So I don't think a typical ideal body type has been established at the moment, and if any, I'm not sure there will be. Really.
No, it's interesting to see the development overall. You know, when we started off, it was very much more your typical gym weight audience that you know made a mark in the first year, and then endurance athletes especially from long distance triathlon racing and so on, and came in as well, mixed it up a little bit, and then you could see that like you used to go to the gym, they were all running more suddenly, and then the triathletes all started bulking up a little bit, and it seems to be somewhere in the middle there. But let's get back to the race here. We got Linda Meyer leaving the workout here, leaving the sled pull, just a quick drink and just confirming, but I believe she might be second out on the workout. Lauren Weeks really struggling right now.
Yeah, she's really struggling. Whether jet lag's playing a part, although Lauren doesn't typically suffer with jet lag. From what I've seen, she did say to us yesterday though that she had been struggling with illness since Chicago, just like a bug. I think a lot of us in Chicago have been suffering with a bug ever since. So whether that's caught up on Lauren or not, or whether it's just simply that the pace that they went out at is caught up with them. To give you some times here as they're coming in, Megan obviously left the sled pull first, then Linda Meyer was 20 seconds behind Megan, and then Lauren has now left. She's 44 seconds behind Megan. So that's quite a gap that's opened up already between those. And then Michaela and Rebecca Mason have left in 4th and 5th as well, so they're 56 and 59 seconds behind Megan.
All right, so a good solid minute between 1st and 5th. Interesting to see Linda Meyer. She is a former world record holder. She struggled with injuries for the majority of last season and is just getting back properly into it. She says about herself she's not where she wants to be yet. In all fairness, most athletes say that before the race, but I do believe her in this case. But you can definitely see the form is going up. Without a doubt, she's more in the mix than she was in Chicago, for sure.
Yeah.
And interesting to see her now in 2nd place, 20 seconds. It's a very solid gap for Megan Jacoby. But those 44 seconds on Lauren Weeks, it'll be interesting to hear afterwards what Lauren has to say. If she can recover from this, maybe. You know, sometimes taking that one step back, you know, can get you back if you haven't pushed too far. But that is something we'll only find out in the later stages. Hard to tell as we see Viola Oberländer from Germany running through here as well. She was out 7th back onto the course, struggled with the sled puller here as well. Seka Anning, the other German girl, gone through now into 6th. And then with Amy Bevilacqua, Zara Biargiani, and Jezebel Kramer completing the top 10 in the race right now.
So Sika being up in 6th there, that'll be encouraging for her as well. She raced recently in Hamburg and set a time that qualified her for this race. She probably wasn't on many people's radars for being in the elite before that point. I think she'd run 1, maybe 2 races prior to that, and obviously was a good athlete, but wasn't necessarily setting times that would qualify her for this. So she popped up with that race in Hamburg. I think it was a surprise to her to a certain extent, and now she's sitting 6th in the Elite 15 race.
She was so nervous yesterday. So nervous. I was behind her like after the briefing going down the stairs. She was talking to Tim Vanish, who we're going to see in the men's elite race later on as well. And she was just like, she was so worried about not sleeping tonight, and she was nervous 2 days before the race and everything. So quite nice to see actually one of the, if you want to take it this way, newbies on the major scene, on the elite scene in the front. Great to see her there. But Megan Jacobi, she is the woman of the hour right now here at the second major of the season from Stockholm. She is at the burpees already, and now this is the important one. This is where the judges are going to look super, super closely. The burpees is probably the most prone workout of them all, where people kind of like to squeeze in a little bit of an advantage, use a gray zone there. It's been made very clear. So the way it works is the chest has to touch the ground. It needs to be clearly visible for the judge. The feet can jump backwards, but the head cannot jump forward at the same time. And when you come up, your feet cannot go further than where your hands were. And as you go down with your hands, they're only allowed to be 1 foot length in front of your feet. So this is pretty much what you need to focus on. Plus, you cannot walk off after the last burpee. Super important, you need to complete the burpee. Erect yourself completely, then you're allowed to turn around and go into that second lap. And now they're passing each other, first and second here. Megan Jacobi, who's done so well in the doubles here in Stockholm last year already. She said she loved the city, she loved the people here, she loved the race, so coming back here with great memories, and now at the moment leading that second major, and she has got a full lane now on Linda Meyer that she's in front here already.
Just probably worth making a point, Megan just ran a 3:35 kilometre coming into that burpee broad jump as well. So I was going to say, for most people, like no matter how well you pace your HYROX, even if you don't go as hot as Megan did, burpee broad jumps is where your heart rate gets jacked. Like doing 80 metres of these, you are like, your heart is pounding after these. This is where it gets like really tough. This is where the race is like really compromised. But Megan knew that, and she ran a 3:35 coming into the station. So she is absolutely flying today.
Oh, this is just ridiculous. She's actually just getting faster and faster on the kilometer progressively. Like literally, she started off with a 3:53, slowly second by second worked her way down to 3:35. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues in the next 4 runs she's got ahead of her. But that is incredible. But also interesting to see now on the burpees, you can see Lauren Weeks is catching back up to Linda Meyer. Linda Meyer struggling a little bit on those burpees, and you said it earlier, it is an advantage if you're not a super tall athlete. And Linda, one of the taller athletes at the burpees right now. And Lauren Weeks on lane 3, you can see her from the left-hand side that you're looking at the screen, catching back up on Linda Meyer. So, I mean, it is Lauren Weeks. It's the reigning world champion. We never count her out.
No, you can't count her out, but like I was saying earlier, Megan is generally stronger in the back half of this race than Lauren. Like where Lauren has traditionally made up the time or gapped Megan is in the early parts of the race. So no, you can't count out Lauren. You never can, but she certainly wouldn't want this sort of gap at this early on in the race. Now it looks like we talked about Miriam a little earlier and how she doesn't start out fast and her running is not a strong point, but she is well behind at the moment. I think like whether something's wrong or not, or whether she's injured, but she was 3 minutes 17 behind Megan coming into the burpee broad jumps there. So she's certainly struggling today. She's in 15th place.
But it's also the insane pace they're pushing right now. I mean, we're talking when she runs about a 4:30 on the kilometer, she's right now losing close to a minute on Megan Jacobi in the front. This used to be 30 seconds, which is so much easier to make up for at the workout. And Linda Meyer now out as third after Megan Jacoby. Lauren Weeks looks to be back in second right now. She made up some serious time at the burpees on Linda Meyer, and I believe she might have made up some time on Megan Jacoby as well. 15 seconds. You know, that is not nothing. 15 seconds faster for the workout. Lauren Weeks, quick shout at the coach there, trying to get some information about what's happening behind her, what the gaps are. We are into the second half of a spectacular second major of the season here, and another very warm welcome for everybody who's joining us a little later now. My name is still on my side, my co-host today, the man, the myth, the legend, the expert today, which is Greg from HYROX Life. That's ROXLYFE. Coaching platform and a HYROX podcast and a website, so go check it out, and he's the man with all the information today. We're saying hello to everybody who's joining us now in the second half of the race here. Welcome to the second major of the year. What you've missed so far is this woman leaving her mark on the race. Megan Jacoby from the United States, who won the first major of the season in Chicago, already is putting the hammer down after Lauren Weeks went out like crazy after the first, or for the first two workouts, really running incredibly fast, but she is struggling right now. Megan took over. Lauren Weeks right now in second place. Linda Meyer in third as we speak, and Michaela Norman in fourth. And Greg, one of your favorites, Rebecca Mason in fifth, still doing incredibly well here, especially looking at the potential qualifiers for the World Championship. Megan Jacoby, last year here in Stockholm, winning the doubles with Michaela Norman, who's running fourth now, the local hero from Sweden. And Megan Jacoby still looking incredibly strong as she is running here. Michaela Norman looking a little more suffering, I want to say, compared to what we've seen. Not really. She's very much just, I think, within herself and her pain right now and what she's busy with.
Yeah. I mean, she never. I wouldn't say she ever looks as running looks as easy for her as it does for Megan. But yeah, she looked like she was struggling to a certain extent there. Now, just one thing I was just looking at while you were talking was Megan's world record pace. So she set the world record last year in Anaheim with a time of 58.58. At that point, she left the burpee broad jumps after 29 minutes and 46 seconds. Today, she's left it in 29 and 43 seconds, so she's 3 seconds ahead of that world record pace in Anaheim.
Whoa! All right. I wonder if she knows out there right now. She has worked incredibly hard throughout the season. You know, one of these athletes who's very, very focused on what she does. A very community-driven, outgoing athlete. She coaches other athletes. She loves training with other people and so on. Megan Jacoby now on the erg, on the row, and it is full gas time for Megan Jacoby here. Okay, so you heard it from Greg. She is 3 seconds faster than the world record pace after the burpees. She is running incredibly well. Let's see if we can get that last run split in now. 3:45, okay, so just a little slower than the one before, but still insanely fast. Blistering pace as we now got Lauren Weeks and Linda Meyer coming into the row as well. Workout number 5. Greg, I'm trying to find a good price. I'm ready. This is the time to start a bet. You folks out there, everybody can, put down their bet as well. Mark your little piece of paper. Let us know, is it going to be a new world record today or not?
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no. And there's one reason for that. One reason is because the grid does come into play at a certain point. So when Megan set the world record in Anaheim, that was on a normal course. But today we're on the grid, and the grid means that when you get to the lunges in particular, there's more turning around. So I think, I must admit, I'm not sure how many turns they're doing, whether it's 20, 25 metre lengths.
So here's the thing, they're not. We switched it up for Stockholm here today. The lunges are happening, no, the farmer's carry later on, that's happening. The farmer's carry is going to be fast, you're right. With the lunges, they're going to lose a little bit of time there, that's right. That's on the grid, you got me there. But the farmer's carry, again, super fast. So I'm always a very hopeful person, so I'm going with world record. I want to see it. Somebody needs to tell her. Faisal, go tell her. But look at the numbers out there, everybody. 500 meters done for Megan Jacoby. Lauren and Linda 200 meters into the row. It is the Megan Jacoby show right now here in Stockholm. And even if we do not see the world record, we got a very good chance to finally see a time under 1 hour again. Which is just crazy.
Yeah, Megan was the first person to do that. She was the first person to do that with her 58, so she skipped the 59s. Lauren is the other lady that's done it. It's a phenomenal achievement. She's certainly on course for that today. Like I was saying, I probably should explain to people at home that aren't necessarily familiar with the grid, but because in a traditional HYROX event, you might have long, say 50-meter lengths to do the lunges down, and then you go up and down to complete the up and down to complete the 100 meters. That will be shorter, so there'll be more turning with them on the grid, and that can, I mean, we're not talking hours of time here or minutes, but it can eat up valuable seconds. And when you're talking about like world records, then you need every second that you can. So that turning can cost you.
We'll see. I absolutely hear you on that. I think Megan Jacoby's gonna she's gonna Sergei Bubka it a little bit and just go second by second. Everybody out there who's young and doesn't know who Sergei Bubka is, he was one of the, how do you call that in English? Is it the pole jumping?
Pole vault.
Oh, there you go, the pole vault. He set an insane amount of world records, but always beating his own by another centimeter and another centimeter and another centimeter. So let's see if Megan Jacoby's gonna be able to beat her world record by just a few seconds here. I have no doubt with what we're seeing, with what the majors are already proven right now, with the focus on it, with having an elite field like this at one race pushing each other, we're gonna see those world records drop further down and down and down in the months and years to come.
Yeah, we can do it as like athletes, learn the sport more, specifically train for the sport for longer. As people become more attracted to the sport, then yeah, the world records are going to get pushed. It looked like from the screen there that Lauren was around 300 meters left on the row as Megan left the station, and it looks like Linda and Lauren are very close on the row. Lauren's just gone up to 900 meters to see how far Linda is behind. While we're watching now, I'll just talk you through the, as they were coming into the row, it was Megan, then Lauren, then Linda, and then Rebecca Mason was 35 seconds behind Linda, and Michaela Norman was around just under 20 seconds behind Rebecca, and then there's a minute gap with Viola. So that top five, I would say, are opening the gap on the rest of the field, and like I've said before, the top five, getting in the top five potentially could qualify you today, depending on who finishes in that top five. So at the moment, the top three have already claimed their space, which would mean it would roll down to fourth and fifth, which at the moment is Rebecca Mason and Michaela Norman.
That is the situation as we look at it right now, and it is a little bit of a gap they have now on the competition, depending on how Michaela Norman does now. But under the dictate of Megan Jacoby, some of our athletes struggling a little bit behind here, which is not a surprise. Obviously, if you see the train leaving in the front, you've got to push that little bit harder. You've got to risk something out there to stay with them. So I think what we're going to see today is we're going to see 2-3 athletes potentially blow up a little bit and just risking a little too much out there, as we might or might not have seen to a certain degree with Lauren Weeks already. She did lead the race for the first 2 laps and workouts here before Megan Jacoby really made her move and then took 44 seconds out of Lauren Weeks within a workout and half a run lap, which is a lot. but she is still looking absolutely fabulous out there on the run course, still running sub 4-minute paces here.
Her running's looking really good. I asked her yesterday what she thought has maybe led to that. Maybe what's it, you know, why she's running so well at the moment and in Chicago. And she said maybe it's like she's doing a little bit less work. When she first came into sport, she thought she had to do like tons and tons of running, and she still does do a lot of running. She comes from a running background. She's used to very high mileage, but then tons of weight training on top, and she's doing a little bit less now, and I think her body's like thanking her for that and giving her like these
Hold on. Are you telling me that sometimes in sports and elite sports, less is more?
Sometimes.
What a revelation. And yet it seems to be so hard to understand. But yeah, that's exactly what it, you know, can be. Just give the body a little bit of rest, which it's two things. You know that yourself, you coach athletes and so on. Once you get to the point where you allow your body to have a little more rest, it also means that you've mentally gotten to the point where you allow yourself to relax a little bit. So it's a double advantage you get there.
Yeah. And it's easy to do in any sport, to feel like you've just got to train. I'd say it's even easier to do in something like HYROX, where there is so much to be working on. Like, you know, you've got to work on your running and your endurance, but then like there's all these stations you've got to work on. You know you need strength for the sleds, and you know you need muscular endurance for the lunges. And so there's like always something to be working on, and that could easily lead to like just doing too much.
Oh, absolutely. And she's doing incredibly well. She's not doing too much. She's just doing the right amount right now. Megan Jacoby in that first lap of 3 here.
So
for the farmer's carry.
In Anaheim, where she set the world record, she got into the farmer's carries in 43 minutes and 2 seconds. She's here in just under 42 minutes, so she's around a minute ahead of that world record pace that she set in Anaheim. Now, before you get too excited, I will say that her lunge time in Anaheim was like unbelievable. It was one of the quickest lunges that we've seen. But to be a minute ahead of world record pace, she's got a bit to play with.
Well, let's see. I'm still going with this is going to be a world record. I mean, she's got Faisal on her side right now shouting at her. You know, what could possibly go wrong? She's like, leave me alone with your chalk. I got this. It is true about the farmer's carry to a certain degree, especially at that level. It is almost harder to stop and pick it back up than it is to just grit it out and push through.
Yeah, in HYROX, I often talk about like pretty much every stage of the race, you have to pace to a certain extent because you need to like go and do something else. With the farmer's carry, I think that's the one thing you don't try and pace. You just got to pick up and try and get those done as quickly as possible, because like your grip's giving away all the time, like, the longer that you take. So that's the one area of the race where you just got to go as quickly as you possibly can.
I'm literally, like, I'm feeling her right now from my last farmer's carry and then going back out on that run. That farmer's carry, if you've never done it, is eventually the weight from the upper body where you know, with your hands got the weights attached basically. Your core just gives in. Everything hurts. You start walking funny out there, which puts so much more pressure on your quads and everything, and then you go straight out and run again. And for that, she is looking so good. It feels like running on eggs, and she's still absolutely flying. Smashed the farmer's carry here, and coming into the farmer's carry, we had Lauren Weeks. Linda Meyer on the run again, managed to close the gap a little bit, and is now gone past Lauren Weeks in the workout, and she is the stronger runner right now. So this a good one for Linda Meyer right now. But then again, looking at the height difference, wall balls, she's got a little more work ahead of her, and it's such a close race for second and third right now between Linda Meyer and Lauren Weeks. Linda is out of the workout. Lauren's struggling there on the last meters. Come on, she's got to hang on. She's absolutely fighting. They need to drop them within the white zone there before they are allowed to complete, or before the workout is completed. And now she's out onto the run course as well. And just to give you an idea on how incredibly fast they were, Selka, Viola, and so on, they're just now entering the workout as our lead trio is out already.
Yeah. It's worth saying with Linda there coming out in second place. If you remember back in Chicago 3 weeks ago, she caught Vivian Tafuto up like at the wall ball station, so she clawed her in like through the rest of the race. So it showed how strong she was in the second half of the race. So she's sitting second now. We know that the back half of the race is strong for her. I think she went unbroken on those wall balls as well. It was like a brilliant ending. Like they both arrived at the wall ball station together. It was like essentially a wall ball off for a place at the World Championships, and I think she went unbroken now. So we know that she can do that, as many ladies in this field can.
She's a wall ball beast. I had the great pleasure of racing a relay with her after she raced the elite on that day already, and so in the relay she went unbroken for a second time on that day after racing all out in the elite. And you know how it is, outside the majors, the elite is late in the race, so they cross the finish line and basically go straight back to the start of the relays, and she went unbroken for a second time there. It's my only HYROX win in history so far. Thank you very much, Linda Maya.
So the top 5 are out of the farmers carried now. That's Megan. Linda was a minute and 14 seconds behind. Lauren was around 8 seconds behind her. Then Michaela Norman is in 4th and Becky Mason is in 5th.
And very close together, Michaela Norman, Becky Mason right now. And you said it before, but we can't stretch it enough. This is about the qualifiers for the World Championship as well, of course. And the top 3 we're seeing right now, they are qualified.
Yes.
So in this case, we have slots that can roll down to 4 and 5 if the positions stay like this. So it's so important to stay in those positions right now, and they've done an incredible job, an absolutely incredible job to open the gap on the competition. It's a very comfortable lead. It was over. It is now, we've got the splits even afterwards. It's over a minute even for Rebecca Mason ahead of Seka Arning right now. So this is looking really, really good. And you called it beforehand. Rebecca Mason, very even athlete looking at the workouts.
She's one thing that Becky doesn't do, I don't think, is unbroken wall balls. Now, I might be wrong there. She may do them today, but a lot of these ladies, not a lot, but the top 4 at the moment in this field, I would say, will do unbroken wall balls. Don't think Becky will. Whether Sika or Viola or Zara, who are behind her at the moment, whether they can do that and close that gap as they get to that station remains to be seen. So, but she certainly can't rest on her laurels in 5th place at the moment.
What's super interesting to see in the race right now, sorry that I interrupt you, is Lauren Weeks right now. Linda Maya generally, at the moment, just a few seconds faster on the run, but Lauren Weeks really properly recovered. We said it within a workout. After the 3rd workout, she went from leading the race to being 44 seconds behind Megan Jacoby, and it's now very much staying at the 1:23. So it was just a moment within the race, and it'll be interesting to find out after the race what it was. Was it the jet lag? Was it just risking too much? You said it up front, she said she will risk everything as she is now heading towards the next workout. If we look to our left here, we see exactly this picture in live with Megan Jacoby at the lunges right now. All right, that was the situation we talked about just now. She was sent back by the judge because what she did is after the last lunge, she didn't complete it. She lunged across the line, went sort of halfway up and turned around. It needs to be a complete erect position, both legs next to each other, then you can turn around. Otherwise, that last lunge isn't completed, and that's what just happened with Megan Jacoby there. She did shake the head. You and I, we were both in the race briefing yesterday. It was made very, very clear.
Yeah. It's the type of thing that, like, when you're really suffering, like, it's the last thing that you want to happen. Like that extra little bit of energy that costs you is like feels terrible. But yeah, they were briefed on it. It was made very clear.
Exactly the same situation just now by Linda Maya. Very curious race. Very odd situation in Hamburg last week. That just shows you how much they are on edge and how much oxygen the body is using, I want to say. such an experienced athlete. She went there with Luke. She wanted to potentially break the world record in the mixed doubles, and they got a penalty with all the experience they have by leaving the workout through the in arch instead of the out arch. Situations that can happen in the race, just as we had it here, that the lunge wasn't completed entirely.
Certainly very easily done in HYROX, like running an incorrect number of laps is something that Megan's done before. She's done it's done that a couple of times before, I believe. So it's certainly something that's surprisingly easy to do when there is so much going on, you know.
And if you look at Linda, she's getting a little bit nervous right now. With Lauren Weeks going past again, there was another double fault at the end there. She basically, the last lunge wasn't long enough. She had to add another one at the end of the lane, and then she walked into the grid before starting the next lane and had to be sent back again. And that is probably just the nerves right now, trying to make sure that Lauren Weeks doesn't disappear too far. But Megan Jacoby, she is out. Ladies and gentlemen out there on the screen, she is done with the second last workout. Megan Jacoby putting the hammer down here at the second major of the season in Stockholm. She is flying along the run course as we can see her coming past behind us right now. 2 laps to go for her. Then it's time for the wall balls. And then we're going to know, Greg. Is it going to be sub 1 hour? Is it going to be a new world record? Is somebody going to tell her at the wall balls this can be a new world record? But what can you do if you do wall balls unbroken? How can you do them even faster?
You can do them faster, but you can also. She's got a run to do before those wall balls. So I can tell you, I think she's around 18, 19 seconds ahead of her Anaheim world record pace.
But look at those run numbers, 3:47, 3:46, 3:48. Towards the later stages of this race, this is insane. This is incredibly consistent and shows how well in control she is. Just now on the split screen, you could see her check the watch as Linda Meyer now managed to catch back up to Lauren Weeks. Then another slight mistake, tried to exit the rock zone the wrong way there again, but they're out together. Linda Meyer, Lauren Weeks in second and third. That's the duel for the positions here on the way towards the wall balls right now. But Greg, let's not forget, this is exciting. Megan Jacoby, you said it, a little faster than world record pace. I do not want to forget about Michaela Norman and Rebecca Mason behind them. That duel, that fight for the position, and can Seka Arning in some way get in there or not? That's the big question right now. 40 seconds between Michaela Norman and Rebecca Mason heading into the sandbag lunges.
Just one thing I'll add. We've been talking about the top 5, obviously, but the remainder of the field deserve a mention. And one person I'll mention in particular is Amy Bevilacqua, who at the age of 50 or 51, I'm not 100% sure, to be honest, is the oldest we've ever seen in the elite field. It's an incredible achievement. She's got 5 kids. She's made the journey from America for this race.
But that makes complete sense. You know, a mother of 5, I mean, basically look at it. What you do is you practice sandbag lunges all day long. You got one baby in the arm and you keep, like, she's kneeling down, picking stuff up from the others. It's all day sandbag lunges.
HYROX is relatively easy when you've brought up 5 kids as well, right?
No, it's incredible. At the age of 50 plus here, the way she is out there, she is ahead of Miriam van Roor, for example, who's really not having a good race today. I know the running is fast, it's not her strength, but we expected her to excel a little more at the workouts. But Lauren Weeks, Linda Meyer, this is like absolutely pushing it right now to the limit on the run course here. Bringing it down. Just
while we were talking about age as well, this is a sport that doesn't seem to just be favouring like particularly young athletes. It's not something you can only do when you're in your early 20s. So I believe the average age of both these, the men's and the women's field today is 32, around the 32 mark.
Let me just quickly jump in there. Look at that. How brutal would that be? Megan Jacoby right now running up to Linda Meyer, to Lauren Weeks. She almost leapt them. You know, she almost leapt them. That's how much she is ahead. and she is heading into the wall balls, ladies and gentlemen. She's looking at the watch. I'm pretty sure by now she knows exactly where the world record is. She knows exactly what she has to do, and as long as she keeps checking the watch, it is well within the reach. On the way to the wall balls, important now about the wall balls, it's not just about speed, it's about precision as well. All right, it's always that discussion with the wall balls, is like, can they go higher or not? You see those two boards, lower for the women, higher for the men. No, it needs to be center on the lower board, otherwise it's a no rep. Super clean first one here. You got to go down below 90-degree angle with your legs. And it is about the world record here at the second major of the season, live from Stockholm. Megan Jacobi at the wall balls already right in front of us, and then Lauren Weeks, Linda Meyer on the way to the wall balls as well. What a showdown here in Stockholm. Greg, is the race anything the way you expected it?
It's always very hard to know how to call it between Megan and Lauren and Michaela to a certain extent. Megan was dominant in Chicago 3 weeks ago. We weren't sure how jet lag would have affected her, how the travel would have affected her, but she was dominant, and she is today, so clearly it hasn't affected her. It's worth saying that she got here in 55:39, which means she would have to do a 3:17 wall balls to break the world record by a second. She did a 3:16 in Anaheim, so she certainly got that with her. We are talking seconds for the world record.
This is insane. Honestly, I'm just sweating here right now. My hands are sweaty and everything. I told you she's going to Sergei Bubka, bringing it down to the seconds. And we now got Lauren Weeks and Linda Meyer coming into the wall balls as well. The duel for second and third. Again, ladies and gentlemen out there, the world record is up for grabs. She has 3 minutes and 17 seconds forward. It took her 3 minutes and 16 seconds when she set the world record, and that means it needs to be an absolute clean, unbroken run. No reps out there if she wants to have a stab here at a new world record at the second major of the season. Greg, you want to change your bet? Oh, you're sticking to it. It's not going to happen.
I think I don't want to put the commentator's curse on it, so I'm not going to change.
All right. Don't change it. Everybody out there in the live stream, you got the comment box. Put it in there. Is it going to be a new world record? Yes or no? We're going to find out in just a moment. 20 wall balls to go, ladies and gentlemen. She's gone 80. She's gone through 80. We're going to look at the watch. What is the time we need to see on the screen?
58:58 is the world record, so we need to see a 58:57.
58:58. 90 wall balls down. We are counting down, everybody. You can count live on the screens here. This is Megan Jacobi live at the second major of the season here in Stockholm. This could be a new world record. I am not sitting down anymore. Let's look at the watch. Last wall balls. And here she comes. Run. Megan Jacobi winning the race with a new world record. Woo! Greg, I'm dropping my mic. I call it new world record by 5 seconds from Megan Jacobi. What a mind-blowing start into the major here in Stockholm.
Wow, that was incredible. 58:53, so she's beaten her world record by 5 seconds there. Those wall balls at the end were rapid, unbroken, obviously, from Megan, but really quick wall balls. Hot from the start, unbelievable performance.
What an incredible race. Whew, I'm out of breath right now. New world record. She's standing on her feet already, which is great. It means this is a typical Megan Jacobi that we're seeing right now, going back down to the wall balls. And that is not a showing off. That is pure passion and love for the competition here. Cheering on the competition, making sure they give absolutely everything. But hey, we had the world record and it's exciting and we want to celebrate that. But we're looking at station number 4 and 5 out there as well. And it is looking fantastic for Bex Mason and Michaela Norman to take those slots and go through to the Worlds.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so Lauren came in second here. I think she's about to finish. So Lauren and Megan, the top 2 again, as they were in Chicago. Lauren Weeks in just over an hour, so an hour and 29 seconds. That's after we thought maybe they'd gone out too hot. We thought she was struggling from early on in the race. That was an hour of suffering that Lauren just experienced there. It's a very impressive time still.
I'm starting to see this more and more. When I on the commentary start doubting athletes, they seem to feel it and prove me wrong. It's amazing. I mean, 1 hour 29 after clearly struggling, and Linda Meyer back on the podium, finally leaving absolutely everything out there. 1:01:03, which is a new PB as well by a minute and a half. So in an incredibly fast race here in Stockholm, I would say it's fair enough to say Linda Meyer is back as well.
Yeah. So there's Michaela coming in 1:01:32 there. And then it's the battle for 5th spot here. So who's going to claim?
Michaela Norman come in 4th here. The local hometown hero, 1:01:32.
So remember
and
this.
We are waiting for 5th. Rebecca, she is struggling right now. You said it. She's never done the wall balls unbroken. Elina Wilno, she had quite a gap coming to the wall balls here. But it's the big question now. How well is she going to do or not?
Can I get a drink? Can I get a...
Yes, I'll find you something. There's a fresh water in my backpack. All right. I've got the winner. I've got the new world record holder with me on the microphone right now. But you know what, Megan? Let's just watch this race for just a second, because we're talking World Championship qualification.
Yeah.
Bex Mason having an incredible race,
Yes.
but she is struggling at the wall balls.
Yeah,
So
it's going to be a fight for those 2. It only rolls down to 2 spots, 4th and 5th, because the top 3 were the same from Chicago. So this is a battle out here. These girls are hustling, and this is when it hurts. It hurts really bad at the wall ball. So they're doing their best, and it's amazing. Yeah, Becca got it.
Here
nice.
she comes. Bring her across the line.
Oh,
What a race.
Amazing.
If you want to congratulate her, you go ahead, quickly do that, and then
yeah.
you go give her a hug,
Okay.
and then you're back on the microphone. All right. That's part of the race in here as well. You see, that's the spirit of our athletes. We've got the moment for that. What an incredible race from Bex Mason here. Unbelievable. She is taking that 2nd slot, and all right, we're gonna go get Megan back in a second here. But Greg, what a race, what a performance, and what a close call in the end with Elina Wilno, Sika, Arning, but even Bex Mason. I mean, this got really, really close in the end, and it mattered. It was about that World Championship slot here for Bex Mason.
Yeah, unbelievable race, unbelievable performances. It's worth saying that Linda's time, that's a significant PB for her. Michaela's time of 1:01. At the start of last season, they'd have been world records. So 1:01's like they're finishing 3rd and 4th in this major here. So unbelievable.
Let's get our...
All right, I'm back.
You're back.
I'm back on the
World record.
World record.
Woo!
Got it by 5 seconds. It was my record, so I clearly knew what the time was. I was checking, and I knew it was going to be very, very close.
So tell me, was it the plan going into the race? Was it like having that shot at the world record? Because Lauren went out like crazy.
Yeah, that's Lauren's style. And at this point, I think we've raced each other enough times where I know what I know what I need to do, and she knows what she needs to do, and it's kind of like whoever's day it is, we're both very capable, very strong athletes, very similar styles. We're both really aggressive out there. And I think just since we both qualified in Chicago, now it's just about times and just pushing ourselves to our limits and seeing what we can do out there. It was an amazing field. This race was much closer and much faster than the Chicago times. So really, really impressive to see some of my, sorry, I'm getting out of breath. Really impressive to see some of my competitors and the times that they threw down today. And it was a great course. We had really long, nice straightaways, great turns on the runs. So all of that makes a lot of difference. Adds a lot of seconds when you're cutting corners or you're doing a lot of circles. So it was a great course today.
So just quickly, before we're going to talk to Lauren in a little bit as well, is what happened to your run? This is crazy. Like, how much do you feel your run these days? We looked at the numbers. I haven't seen the last split now, but 5, 6, and 7 were 347, 346, 348.
Yeah, my running feels really, really strong right now. That's my background, and I know that that's my weapon, so if I can weaponize that, then I know that I'm going to be really tough to beat out there. And ultimately, it's in practice, it's seeing how hard I can push my runs and how hard I can maintain my stations after. So that's kind of been my goal, and it's paying off right now, and I'm really excited to see what we can do this year. I'm really confident that the women's field can get down in that 57 range. So hey boys, we're coming for you. But yeah, it's really exciting to see these times for the rest of the field. They keep getting closer and closer to 60 minutes. And I just think that it's such a huge win for the women's field in general.
That answers my question. The question would have been, do you think the world record is going to stay for the season, or is it going to fall again?
Well, I plan on breaking it again.
Oh, here we go. You called it. You heard it from the world record holder. Again, congratulations.
Thank you.
If you weren't all that sweaty, I would hug you. I'll do that later.
Yeah, all good. Understandable.
And hey, looking forward to the next races. Thanks so much. Congratulations.
Can't wait to watch the men now.
All right, that was live with our world record holder, Megan Jacoby. Incredible race here today that she's given us, and we'll see in a moment if we can maybe hear from second and third as well. Incredible racing they've shown here today, and we're just going to have a quick one with Linda Meyer as we got her here. Hello. All right, got Linda Meyer with me. Linda, congratulations.
Hi. Thank you very much.
How was the day out there? It was insanely fast.
Yeah, I think the women's race is always very fast at the beginning, so I try to pace myself a little bit slower in the beginning so that I can catch them maybe during the race. That was my strategy.
So 1:01, that's a new PB, I believe.
Yes, it is.
So first initial reaction from my end was, Linda is back. Would you agree?
Thank you.
How much is left in there? So we were just talking to Megan, and she said, like, now being qualified, it's all about those times, and you're going to push each other. Do you think you can go under 1 hour this year?
That's the plan, but not for now. I try to focus my training on the World Championships in June because I already earned my spot, so I've got a little bit of time to practice for that, and let's see what is in my tank during the next 6 months.
Hey, good luck with that. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Congratulations to the race.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy the rest of the day here in Stockholm.
Thanks.
All right, Linda Meyer, third place here today from Germany, back after just missing the podium in Chicago. She is on the podium here again with a PB herself, and she said it, you know, Greg, I don't know if you were able to listen in, but Megan was saying, you know, I think we're able to go down to those 57, and she plans on breaking the world record again this year. And Linda was just saying the plan for the season is to go sub 1 hour for herself. And as Megan was saying, hey, listen up, boys, watch it. We're coming for you.
And you can believe it, the progress that these ladies are making. And it is like still relatively early in the season. Most of these women, the women that have like performed amazingly today, are ultimately, they've got their eye on the World Championships in June. They're looking to peak for that. So you certainly wouldn't put those sort of times past them once we get to June.
All right, we are seeing in the picture already that the men are slowly getting ready for the lineup here in Stockholm. you know, we had this whole pre-show planned in a certain way, but let's face it, this was just way too exciting to leave the women's race, and we're jumping straight into the walk on here. We're gonna leave you with our man Faisal on the ground. Let's get ready, ladies and gentlemen, after this exciting race in the women's elite here, the second major of the year. It is now time for our boys, for the men, and another showdown here in Stockholm. This race that's already seen one world record tumble today.
And from the UK, Michael Sandberg. From Australia, Bo Wills. Oh, yeah, New Zealand. From we got James Kelly. Here we go, Australia. All right, next up we have Anas Zuhri. From Germany, Florian Gass. From the UK, we've got Graham Halliday. And from Australia, John Wynn. Viva la France, allez le bleu. We have Geoffrey Vossen. And from Germany, Tim.
Right.
Let's see it, Tim. You got
Let's
this.
have a
Let's
little
go.
bit of a look here at our men's fields as they're running up.
Tim Vinish
It's not a
there.
walk on, it's a run on right now.
And
Tim
from
Vinish just come through.
España, we have
You know, I asked him
Pedro.
about, he was in Chicago with you, and if he was happy or not with the race, and he said, you know, I knew I was coming into this with an injury. I'm not where I want to be, but I'm yet another step fitter than I was in Chicago. So definitely one of the men we have to watch as well. We just saw Ranjevic coming through, Mr. Consistency, as you said earlier today already. We see Hunter McIntyre coming in. Hunter McIntyre, he's going to be the man to beat today, or not to beat. Now that is the big question. They're just going to finish their little lap to the start now, everybody, and then it's straight into the start of our men's race. If we do find the time, we're going to take a quick look at the final results from the women's race. Here we go. Megan Jacoby, Greg, setting the new world record in 58.52, beating her own record. Now we got it official by 6 seconds even. Lauren Weeks in second, Linda Meyer, new PB, and then Michaela Norman, Rebecca Mason. Rebecca Mason, amazing, qualifying for the World Championships, taking those roll down slots, and then overall an incredibly fast race if we see it. Like, we have a bigger gap between 1 and 15 than we expected, even though the time of the 15th isn't slower than we expected. So it's just been this fast here in Stockholm today. So that's the ranking here, the leaderboard for our women elite, the race that just finished moments ago. And let's take a little bit of a look at the men's head-to-head before we send them out on the course. The duels that we're expecting here, Hunter McIntyre and Alex Ranjevic. You know, USA versus Austria. If we look at the pure times, 54.07 versus 56.13, this is a clear call for Hunter. And it's all coming down to the run. Workouts very even, or how do you see it?
The workouts are very, very even. Like, Alex is very good on the workouts. Whether he's quite as strong as Hunter, I'm not so sure. You know, that Hunter is incredible throughout the race, really, but it is the running certainly where Hunter has got a clear gap on Alex. Now they're both phenomenal athletes, phenomenal.
And just to give you an idea of how fast the run's going to be, we're talking average run total 27 minutes. For the women who just averaged 3:45, it was 33 minutes. So we're looking into a 3:15 range here for the run, or even slightly below. It's going to be absolutely crazy. And then we've got that second duel between Pelayo and Tim Vinish, that, you know, duel that we saw in a way in Chicago as well. Pelayo just appearing, you know, on the circuit and being right there and what a fantastic race from him. How do you see this one unfold?
Yeah, it's an interesting story here because Pelayo took away 2 of Tim's world records 2 weeks ago.
And you know what? We're going to talk about them in a second because the countdown is on. And here they go, everybody out there on the screen. Brace yourselves, take your seats, put the seat belts on. It is time for the men's elite race here at the second major of the season in Stockholm. And let the action unfold. So Hunter McIntyre literally wearing his shirt for the first 70 meters. Like, thank you very much. We had that for the cameras. Off we go.
Now, I spoke to a few of these guys yesterday. Hunter typically leads from the start, especially once we're through the ski erg. Tim often comes out very fast as well. He's one of the strongest runners in the field, so I think he likes to try and stretch it, trying to turn it into more of a running race. But I spoke to a few of these guys yesterday. I asked them their tactics, and almost all of them told me, go out hard. So they're all intended to go out with him. They're not looking to pace. And what we're seeing here is a Nas at the front. He's probably the strongest runner in the field. He's got a sub 4 minute mile to his name. He runs around 100 kilometers a week. He's a phenomenal runner. So he certainly wants to, make up the time on the runs. He is a very strong physical guy as well.
It's really interesting to see, just seeing Michael Sandbach run here right now. We saw Megan Jacoby in the interview. She said, having that space and being able to cut those corners. At the end of the day, with all the corners and everything on the run, it saves you time. It is interesting to see Michael Sandbach using this far outside lane. He's staying out of trouble, but he is making extra meters with every single turn.
Yeah, that is interesting that he's gone out there, and whether he prefers that for some reason, whether it's because he's one of the taller, bigger guys, not so sure.
All right, we will see as they're flying along the course here right now. It is the first run lap here on the way towards the first workout, making the way towards the ski erg for the men. And that's the man to watch right now. 54 minutes is what we're talking. The 54-minute man, Hunter McIntyre from the USA. I mean, I'm going to ask you flat out, Greg, can he be beaten?
He certainly can be beaten, yes. Like there's a number of things that can happen in a race, obviously. Like we talked about potential mistakes happening, like running an incorrect number of laps, getting a penalty for something. Something like that can certainly stop it. Like everyone can have an off day as well. We saw him a little while back now, but he was going relatively well, but then Ryan Kent caught him at the sled pull when he ultimately pulled out of that race. Now that was before he dominated the World Championships in Manchester, but no one's unbeatable, and certainly in this sport. So if he's at his very best, then I think all the guys in this field would admit that Hunter at the top of his game is the best. But if he's like 1-2% off for whatever reason, then that can really like cost you time in HYROX, and someone will be willing to pounce.
Absolutely, and one of the men I really want to watch in the race today is Anas Zouri from Morocco. We're seeing on the side here of Hunter McIntyre. He's one of those interesting folks. If we look at the qualification system, we're not just talking World Championship, but we're talking direct qualification for the next majors, which gives you the opportunity to qualify for the World Championship. And theoretically, you have to be within the top 15 times of the year to have a chance at the majors to race there. But Anas Zouri came in through a roll down slot. He's sitting 18th time overall right now, so it'll be super interesting to see him. He's going to go all out and try to make that move into the 15 to be absolutely safe for Vienna, our next major that's coming up. So he's going to use his running strength, super strong runner. We saw him there in the lead with Hunter McIntyre. But then, of course, that duel, Hunter McIntyre. We talked about Alex Ranchevich. We talked about Tim Venish, for example. But any dark horses in there?
I would say Anas is certainly one of the dark horses, really. Like you said, he's here on the roll down. That time that he that got him into 18th position. He only set 3 weeks ago in Chicago, like in the normal pro race. Prior to that, he hadn't really, I mean, he was obviously a good athlete, but he hadn't really set a time that was contending him for one of these elite races. So I certainly would say he's a dark horse. And I think if you talk to some of the other guys in this field and in the sport, they would say that Anas is certainly one to watch. You don't want to sleep on Anas. Like he's like I think people can see his potential, like based on those crazy running times that he's got. That if he can put a race together, then he can be towards the top of this field.
We'll watch him closely. I'm going to watch Tim Vinish as well. I want to see how he progresses after his injury. He said it himself, he's not quite where he wants to be, but it's getting better and better. He should be stronger, he said, than he was in Chicago. So another one to watch. And I'm very eager to see Florian Gast race. He was qualified for Chicago. He set it out. He said, you know what, I'm going to fully focus on Stockholm, and I'm just going to do Barcelona as a prep. And then he had to pull out in Barcelona with back issues. They seem to have gotten it under control. Training worked well. So generally, he didn't lose any training time. It was literally just on race day. So he should be in amazing shape, theoretically, today. Didn't waste much energy racing a lot in the couple of weeks. But on the other hand, it also means he hasn't raced.
Yeah.
He's missing that, he might be missing that extra punch, because at that level they're racing right now, you cannot simulate that in training, the way they have to push themselves.
100% you can't. Race experience counts for a lot, and reminding yourself of how this race feels I think is worthwhile. So they would have Florian would certainly last race in HYROX back in May. So it's quite a long time to go without that feeling, understanding how to pace, reminding yourself how it feels. Like you say, you can't necessarily replicate that in training. We'll probably truly know how his injury's holding up once we're through the sled pull, which is where his back's really going to be tested.
Exactly. Which is not going to be too long from now. We see Hunter McIntyre just about to finish. Again, fastest at the ski erg here right now. He went into the ski erg shoulder to shoulder with some of the other guys we got on the screen here. Alex was just a few meters behind. Michael was just a few meters behind. And then we got Anas. But Hunter McIntyre, he is out. He is onto the course. And he is taking charge of the race here, the second major in Stockholm.
So this isn't necessarily unexpected. Hunter's ski time, I don't think anyone can contend with in this field in reality. I think we saw for a while he was skiing at a sub 140 per 500 pace there. No one, well, I shouldn't say no one can do that. They can do that if they're completely fresh. I think if they tried to do it in a HYROX, they'd quickly regret it. So for him to open up this gap, like I say, is probably expected. Now, whether they can close the gap or not, bearing in mind that he doesn't really have any weaknesses, we'll see.
But it's impressive just looking at him and then knowing the run pace he has. Let's be honest here. He does not look like a runner per se, not the way Tim Vinish and so on looks like. He looks more like a David Hasselhoff in like Baywatch times, you know, running down the beach. I mean, I can literally picture him with the red safety buoy and some red swim shorts instead of the black ones. But you know what I mean. Like there is still a lot of muscle to move and so on. So an incredibly efficient athlete that he is able to maintain that running pace, not flush the entire body with lactate head to toe to a point where you can't handle it. And that just something that makes him so incredibly strong. We got him out off the ski erg first, and then we got Anas Suri from Morocco out in second. Michael Sandberg is there, Tim Vinish, but everything's still close together, pretty much all the way down to 15th. We've got 38 seconds between 1 and 15. But the biggest gap is the one from 1 to 2 already, which now sits at close to 10 seconds.
You talked about body types in HYROX earlier, and you talked about Hunter and like his size and how well he runs, and you can compare that to some of these others in this field in particular, like people like Tim and Paleo, who are very, very, very good runners. Somehow Hunter manages to sort of run at those paces while having like incredible strength on the stations.
That's the field behind. That is position 7, 8, and 9 we've just seen coming through here with Florian Gast, with Graham Halliday coming through as well.
We've already seen, obviously, one world record today in Megan's performance, but Hunter has talked about how this season he wants to be the year of the world records. He wants to claim the world records in all the divisions in HYROX, I think, is his ultimate aim. Now, whether he pushes for one today or whether he tries to hold back until he's got the qualification for the World Championships sewn up.
The World Championship is not a bad place to set a world record. Let me put it this way, you're definitely going to get the exposure, the attention. Behind him, it is Anas Zouri from Morocco. Still, again, using his running strength here. He's gone past Michael Sandbach again. And Tim Venus, Alex Rancevic, he made his move to the front here as well. So he is sitting with Michael Sandbach and Anas Zouri for the positions 2, 3, 4. Tim Venus trying to catch up to them as well. That's what's happening behind this man. Behind Hunter McIntyre, who's now on the way into the workout area towards the grid, and then it's time for the second workout, the sled push. The sled push, we just saw Florian Gast from Germany coming in. We talked about him a moment ago. This is the moment that's going to show if his lower back is working again. And we got Zouri and Rancevic coming in second and third. And then Sandbach right there as well. Here we go. And Hunter taking a little bit of a breather there already.
A little bit of a breather, but I would say that he's moving, when he is moving with the sled, he's moving very fast with it. That was some pace he had on that first length, even despite that little break. And I would say that those guys in second and third are moving it very well too. So that's a Nas and Alex Rancevic in second and third there.
And it's literally just this moment of just a quick breath afterwards, trying to bring the heart rate down just a tad, get some oxygen back into their cells and then push again. But they're doing really well. They are putting pressure on Hunter McIntyre, but that's exactly what he wants. It's what he needs, because if he's got that pressure from behind, that's what makes him strong. He is an animal. That's what makes him fast, and that's what just gives him an even better shot at setting a new world record.
Yeah, and the other dynamic going on here is because it is top 3 can qualify for the World Championships, do some of these guys try and keep up with Hunter, try and hang with him, or do they say, okay, we're going to let you go, this isn't a battle for us, we're not going to try and battle for first spot here, we want World Championships. So there might be another race within the race where they're racing for second and third, potentially fourth, depending on where Alex finishes.
And look at that, Alex Rancevic catch him back up here to Hunter McIntyre. They're going to leave the workout area almost at the same time, just a few seconds in between now. Anas Zouri, he's paying a little bit right now. But again, hey, he is a newbie who hit the circuit proper in Chicago, qualifying for the majors here, or setting the time that he needed for the majors. But you said it before, Alex Rancevic, an incredible athlete at the workouts. So his issue right now is he is there with Hunter McIntyre, but his run average is significantly lower than Hunter's. He's losing in the vicinity of about 25 seconds per run out there, per kilometer, which is just too much. So something we'll see from him focus on for the coming events as well.
One thing that Alex has got, though, that Hunter hasn't, is a spot at the World Championships. So the way that Megan just approached that race we talked about, is she can go out hot. She was going for that world record because she knew she could risk it, because she already had the spot at the World Champs. Alex is in the same position today. Now, whether he can hold it or not remains to be seen, but he can afford to push the pace here. He can afford to claw back 10 seconds on Hunter on the sled push, for example, because if he blows up, it's not the end of the world for him, because he's already got that spot.
Oh, absolutely. And he's in beast mode now. The shirt's just come off for Alex, trying to chase down Hunter McIntyre.
So Hunter came out first out the sled push, and then Alex was 3 seconds behind. I think it was Michael Sandbach was in third spot behind them.
You know, early in, if we're getting left here already with Hunter McIntyre going past the competition already out on the run. And then we got 3 left athletes in between, and then right behind, that is Alex Ronchevich, Michael Sandbach, Anna Zuri, James Kelly, Bo Wills, Tim Vanish. Bo Wills is another one of those athletes we need to watch. He is just improving bit by bit by bit. It's not a super fast progression, but very dedicated athlete who's just making a move more and more.
Yeah, he wasn't happy with his performance in Chicago, but I think jet lag played a part, and I know he wasn't as well in Chicago, so you know, it's not unexpected that he didn't perform as well as he wanted. For him to be 6th here, I think he struggled to a certain extent with the sled push out in Chicago as well, and he's clearly come through that reasonably well here. So it would be interesting to see what he can do with the rest of the race. James Kelly there in 5th as well. James hasn't got one of the fastest times in this field by any means, but what he does, he's a racer. He's very much a racer. So in like the general non-elite races through the season, he often will pop up and win. At the World Championships, he was brought into the lineup like just 15 minutes before the race because Tim Venich had to pull out injured, and he finished 8th there. So when it comes to racing, I think he enjoys that, and I think he's kind of excited about the potential of like being able to qualify for the World Championships, potentially with a top 4 spot today. I think that would suit him, and yeah, he's sitting in 5th at the moment.
And you know, just looking at the run times here from Hunter McIntyre, we're looking at 3:39, then 3:34. So that's just about, counting out the first lap, that's just about 10 seconds faster, 10 to 12 seconds faster per kilometer than we saw in Megan Jacoby's race here. Who said in the interviews afterwards, like, boys, watch out, we're coming for you, and they are.
Yeah, they are. Megan obviously set the world record today. She set the mixed doubles world record in Dallas the other week with Ryan Kent, and their time there was like incredible. Sometimes, obviously, all the world records are incredible, but that particular time was unbelievable, and it would have made them one of the fastest men's doubles times of all times as well. So
it was absolutely incredible to watch. We were in Hamburg. We were watching Linda and Luke trying to go for the world record, and then make this mistake and get a penalty, and then we look, you know, across the scene. It's like, well, penalty doesn't matter. You know, it would have been broken like an hour later, anyways. It was unbelievable to see. All right, here we go to the head-to-head again. Hunter McIntyre, Alexander Ronchevich. So 3 minutes and 20 is the average what Alex loses on the run. But his PB is only about 2 minutes slower than what Hunter has. So that means, like, at the workouts, he can average about a minute to a minute and a half faster overall at the workouts. So if he gets this run up just a notch, just a little bit, he's going to be a serious threat for Hunter down the road.
And Hunter, like I said before, has no weaknesses on the stations, but Alex has no weaknesses either, but he is particularly strong on the lunges and the wall balls. He was one of the first men to go unbroken in the pro division on the wall balls. I think he did that in Manchester at the World Championships, which got him his 2nd spot there. So yeah, certainly the latter half of the race, he has the potential to claw back time even on Hunter McIntyre.
Yeah, I would like to see Alex work with a running coach down the road. If you look at the running, there is a lot of lateral movement, which is a lot of wasted energy. You see really like his upper body moving a lot laterally up and down. I think there's room for improvement for sure for him. And it would be great to see, you know, it is close, but I want to see that shoulder-to-shoulder duel that we've seen between Lauren and Megan for such a long time, actually. Not today necessarily, only in the early stages, but you know what I mean. And Hunter McIntyre, I'm sure he wants those boys behind him to be closer as well.
Oh yeah, he wants to be pushed. He wants those world records, and a way of doing that is to be pushed by the other athletes in the field. I think he will feel, or certainly have noticed the times in Chicago recently as well, from Ryan Kent and Ryland Shadegg in particular, like two of the fastest times ever in the sport. So he'll certainly be aware that he's got a lot of competition this season. He's not going to be able to rest on his laurels. Alex is always in contention, so he has, I would say, probably more competition this year, it feels like, than he did for his World Championship last year.
The World Championship happening in Nice in June. Beautiful Nice. Not a bad spot for a World Championship, I have to say.
Should be nice.
Spent some extra days there. We are done with the sled pull. This the third workout here for our HYROX Elite men. Once again, for everybody just joining us now, a very warm welcome here from Stockholm on a cold day, but the heat is up here inside the exhibition hall. The duel, not just for the win here in Stockholm, but also for the qualifiers, for the World Championship, and those times you need for the upcoming majors. One coming up in Vienna, then I believe we go over to the US again, to Anaheim. And
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C., that's correct. And then something very cool. After the majors, there is more options to qualify.
Yes, so for these major races, you need to qualify to be in them, and that's either based on time or performance in a previous championship race. There will be the top three in each of those majors qualify for the World Championships. That may roll down as far as fifth, depending on who's already qualified. That will leave some spots available to be claimed in the last chance qualifiers. Now, we don't know how many spots that will be until we're through Vienna and Washington, but there'll be some spots, and anybody can enter those races. So there could be some fantastic racing going on in those two. Like, I know there's a lot of people with their potentially have ruled out almost being able to qualify for one of these majors that have got their eye on the last chance qualifiers and want to turn up and race there. Just one point on the screen here with John Wynn. John Wynn would be one of my favourites really for a podium in this race. He didn't perform well in Chicago recently, certainly below his expectations, and we felt like a major reason for that was the jet lag. He seems to suffer when he goes over to America, but he's being lapped here by Hunter McIntyre already. He looks like he's suffering. He's not in the top. He's fifth at the moment. Sorry, he's fifth, but he's already being lapped, so he's probably further behind Hunter now than he would ideally like to be. And he looks like he's running. It doesn't look like it's easy for him at the moment.
No, Hunter just gone through him here. I mean, that's the problem, right? When you come from the whole Oceania region, it doesn't matter where you travel, you're jet lagged. If it's Europe or the US, it's just what happens.
John lives in Spain, to be fair. So.
There you go. I live in Spain. I'm not jet lagged. John, you got no more excuses. Here we go, Hunter McIntyre. He is back into the workout station.
Eyes already here. Hunter McIntyre. These runs are quick. Let's go. The sheriff is in town.
We're just hearing Faisal, our MC on the floor here on the grid right now. The sheriff is in the house. Hunter McIntyre, here we go. And it is burpees time.
Watch this. This is how you do them. Take notes.
So this technique here that Hunter uses is fairly unique. If an athlete is struggling, then they need to do a step up. But when Hunter's doing this, it's almost like a leapfrog. It shows that he's feeling pretty good, and it shows that he moves through this very, very quickly. He's got one of the quicker times at this station. When he set the world record, the time that he got on the burpee broad jumps was insane. And you can compare that technique to Alex there, where there's that step up and then a jump. That does like help to stop your heart rate going quite so high, helps to keep things under control a little bit, but obviously it is a slower technique to use.
It's all coming down to the technique here. Very different techniques, but you see it with Hunter. Like, you know, he is a lot faster in the movements and everything.
Off their Burpees broad jumps, and here comes the race for third spot. James Kelly, Michael Sandback.
It looks like he got sent back there for improper technique, I think.
Yep. I mean, he is pushing the envelope here right now. He is pushing the limits a little bit. It's borderline clean technique that we're seeing here to make it super fast. But he's got his head referee there, had taken a very close look here, and you see like that high pace that he's pushing through each lane. It brings the heart rate up incredibly high, but that's something that gives him a huge advantage on the competition behind.
And he is, I mean, they're all struggling to an extent, but he's struggling here. You can see like he's really blowing, he's having these pauses. If you look at his world record performance back in Barcelona last season, he just flew through these burpees. He wasn't taking those pauses like he is there.
All right, lane 1, Hunter McIntyre. Lane 2, Alex Rankjevich trying to chase him down. Hunter McIntyre, he is done and dusted. Last jump there, he is out off the workout, leaving the workout zone in a second. Halftime at this point for Hunter McIntyre. So this is the moment Greg's going to disappear for a second and do some calculations and some math and some looking up to see how Hunter is doing here in the overall times right now, as we see Alex here on the lower part of the screen. He is fighting right now. He's got about 2 burpees left here. Here we go. The next one is going to go across, and then he's good to go out onto the course, and then we're going to look at the timing splits as soon as he is across the mat here. But coming in at the burpees, Hunter McIntyre, 22 seconds ahead of Alex, and then James Kelly, Michael Sandback, and Jonathan Wynn. James Kelly made his move on the run course again, went past Michael Sandback into the burpees, but both worlds we got there, Tim Venish, and not to forget Pelayo Fernandez, they're all still right there. We've got Anasuri, we talked about him, from Morocco. He wants to improve on his time, get into those top 15 times to be definitely qualified for the next major in Vienna, which is going to also be the first major of the year 2024.
So I was talking about Hunter's burpee broad jumps there, how he was pausing that. He actually took 50 seconds longer there than he did on his burpee broad jumps when he set the world record. That's a fairly significant difference just on one station. That said, he went out quicker today than he did in Barcelona. So he's 11 seconds down, leaving the burpee broad jumps on that world record pace, which isn't a lot, but judging by how he's feeling, like the burpee broad jumps, he's obviously feeling like pretty rough at this point in time, and so how that impacts him for the rest of the race remains to be seen. Are his runs going to slow? Are the rest of the stations going to slow as a result of like how hard he's pushed early on?
Yeah, we just got the reason for it from the officials. Like, it wasn't always on the camera when we were looking at the other guys, but there was actually 5 or 6 no reps for Hunter at the burpees, so very strict. They very carefully looked at it. And so that costs time, it breaks the rhythm. You have to go back. You saw him there argue a little bit, so it messes with your focus a little bit, and then suddenly 50 seconds are gone. But it's Hunter McIntyre, and you said it, it's 11 seconds overall right now because he went out faster, so nothing is lost there at all. As we're taking another look here in that little banner on the screen, you see our latest HYROX Puma merchandise in the online store available now. So once again, if you want to look as good as Greg and be as fast as Hunter McIntyre, go online and check out the latest merch.
So leaving those burpee broad jumps, we had Hunter in the lead. Alex Rankjevich was 35 seconds behind him. Michael Sandbach is 1 minute and 18 seconds behind Hunter. And then James Kelly is 1 minute and 52 seconds behind Hunter, with Jonathan Wynn closely behind. So the top, the top 2, 3, 4, 5 places are very close together at the moment. Now, Michael Sandbach now, he's got a place on the roll down today. If you look at pure run times that he's set, he's not one of the fastest in the field. I mean, they're all quick. They're all very close together in terms of their times, actually. But Michael's on a roll down now. He isn't as strong as some of the others in the latter half of the race. So on the lunges and the wall balls, for example, he would lose time to someone like Alex Rončević. So Stanley knows that he has to push himself early on in the stages of the race if he wants to get a podium, if he wants to get one of these qualifying spots.
And we talked about that extensively today already. You need to absolutely push the limit. There is no doubt. I mean, you need to risk something now at the new format of the majors that brings in all this excitement, that brings in the top of the top from around the world racing each other. We see it in Anazuri, who's tried to stay with Hunter as long as he possibly could, and his run is usually really good, and he is suffering hard right now. He really exhausted himself just a little too much. He just spent too much out there, and now his strength, he's paying for that.
And it comes down to, like we said before, compromise running. There's a difference between running 8K on fresh legs and 8K during a HYROX once you've pushed the sled and pulled the sled and even done skier. Like, that compromises you to a certain extent, and how your body feels when it does that impacts how well you do at a HYROX, really. So he's certainly slowed. He's certainly slowed from what he can run at. And presumably that's because he's just pushed too hard on stations.
But it's great to see in the picture right now the camera on the rowing erg with Alex. How now he looks to the other side, but he has a lot of focus on Hunter next to him, looking at Hunter's screen to see what's the pace Hunter is going and so on. Am I catching up? Am I not catching up? Hunter on a way faster cadence than Alex is, but that doesn't mean anything. The erg, an incredibly technical element where, in contrast to what many people believe, the main speed comes from the legs and not the body. The body and the arms is the very last thing that goes. The major effort is in the legs. So if you do that properly, like Alex does, you can go a lower cadence and still maintain that high pace. 1:44, looking at Hunter here right now. That's the pace he's going.
What you were just saying about the technique on the rower is certainly very true. It is more of a leg exercise, but once you've been through all this running, once you've done the burpee runs, once you've done the sled push, do you want to be using your legs as much on the rower? And that's again, I think of it as like a balance net. Now, purist rowers would say, yeah, you still got to row with your legs. You still got to push there, but knowing that you've then got to do the remainder of the race, which includes lunges and wall balls, like how much do you want to tire those legs? How much do you want to use your upper body on this row and maybe cost yourself a few seconds?
Yeah, and we'll see, like, looking at those two athletes right now, when they come out of the rock sign or the workout across the timing mat, I assume that the difference will pretty much be spot on what they had going in, because just seeing the times right now, they're jumping 1:43 to 1:46, but they're both going the same pace. It doesn't look like either of them is in any way able to get a bit of an advantage out of this workout right now. So we're most likely going to look at a very similar setup here, which was just around the half-minute mark that Alex was behind Hunter coming into the row, and then what's left is the farmer's carry, the sandbag lunges, and then of course the showdown at the wall balls.
Judging by this, I think Hunter's maybe like 150 metres ahead of Alex on this row.
So Hunter in the final meters, he's got about a pull left. Here we go, he's going off. We could just see it on the side. Hunter McIntyre is back out on the course. He is going back onto those 2 1/4 run laps to make a 1 kilometer run between the individual workouts. And Alex Rončević just about 200 meters on the row behind, 160 I think it was last we checked. He's looking over to Michael Sandbach, who's sitting next to him in third right now. And a few more pulls for Alex Rončević. Then he's out onto the course and trying to chase Hunter McIntyre, who is leading the race. Coming into the row, it was a 32-second gap between Hunter McIntyre and Alex Rončević. And we'll see in a second how this unfolded at the row. 3 workouts left. Alex is somewhat a little bit of a workout king. Do you think he has a chance to close the time to Hunter? It's 30 seconds. He gained 2 seconds at the row.
You're never going to do that on the row. You're never going to close significant gap on Hunter McIntyre on a row. Like, if it's going to be done, I would say it will be done on the last 2 stations, the lunges and the wall balls. Now, one thing, I don't think Hunter's done unbroken wall balls in a race. He maybe did it when he did the world record. I don't think he actually did. But he's also never been truly pushed at the wall ball station. He's already got that gap, so he's never had to go unbroken. Now, if he arrived at the same time as Alex, and knowing that Alex can do unbroken wall balls, whether he could pull 100 unbroken out the bag remains to be seen. I think he's obviously got the potential to do it, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I think we'd have to see a significant gap close at the lunges if Alex was going to catch him.
Michael Sandbach just coming out now, just 1 run lap behind Hunter McIntyre at this point. And we'll see Alex Ronchevich 30 seconds. That was the gap when he came out of the workout station. All right, sorry, Hunter still in lead here. Very clearly, 30 seconds, I just said it before, the gap to Alex Ronchevich. So the big question now is, he's going to lose a little bit on that run, I'm sure, but how big is the gap? You said it, if you're close enough to Hunter at the wall balls and you force him to go unbroken, most likely for the first time at the wall balls here, we don't know how that's going to be for Hunter.
No, we don't know how he's feeling either at the moment. Could he really suffer on the lunges? Like I said earlier, he got penalised on the burpees, but it was still 50 seconds slower than his world record pace. So does that mean he's really suffering more than he otherwise might be in another race at this stage? And like when you are already suffering, lunges is another one of those stations that can eat you up. You wouldn't necessarily see it so much on the row, for example, or even on the farmers' carries. Like you'd expect Hunter to be able to get through that relatively quickly. If he's like suffering more than normal, it's probably going to be on the lunges that we'll see it. It's probably worth talking about. We're talking about the top 2 here, but it's probably worth talking about the top 5 in reality, especially as Alex is in the mix here and he's already got a spot at the World Championship. So that would mean, in theory, it would roll down to top 4.
Correct.
So we've got
Michael Sandbach looking good. We've got James Kelly. We got John Wynn in there. We got Bo Wills in there. You cannot entirely write off Tim Venus yet. He's a really good runner, but struggling a little bit at the workouts here. But it's literally like Michael is looking good right now, I want to say. Hunter is definitely looking very good. So there's one more spot up for grabs between James, Jonathan, Bo, and I want to say Tim, who are all within 35 seconds.
Yes, and I wouldn't necessarily give a spot to Michael Sandbach yet, based on the fact that he has not performed necessarily as well as some of these other athletes at the lunges and the wall balls. So we know that he can lose time there.
That is actually right. I've seen a lot of frustration with him at the wall balls before at events. As we're now here at the Farmers Carry, we've got Hunter McIntyre, we've got Alex in there as well. They have arrived. And they get 36 seconds, which is interesting because it means Alex has only lost 6 seconds on this run, which really isn't a lot considering his strength at the workouts and everything. So it's still a very, very close race that we're seeing right now. The Farmers Carry is not where you're gonna make your move, because it still involves too much forward movement in that way, using your legs and so on, walking/running speed. And we see, Hunter McIntyre is out. So it is coming down to those sandbag lunges, and it's coming down to the wall balls, where there might be a shot for Alex to get really close to Hunter.
Yeah, one interesting thing on the Farmers Carry that we saw in Chicago actually was that the guys that travelled over and were maybe jet lagged, they seem to suffer on the farmers' carries more than they otherwise might. So I know I talked to John Wynn, who struggled on that day. He said like he can normally do the farmers' carries unbroken. He had to put them down like 4 or 5 times to cover the 200 metres. And then when I looked at the performances, you could see the guys that travelled, for some reason their grip strength suffered as a result of that.
I see a study coming up on the horizon.
There are studies that link longevity with like grip performance actually. Now whether that's correlative or causative,
So Hunter's going to live for a very, very long time is what you're saying. Alex lost 4 seconds at the farmer's carry, so not a big issue there. If he can maintain the run the way it was, he's going to get to the sandbag lunges with about a 50-second deficit, I want to say. It's significant, but it's probably not as big as we expected before the race.
No, it's not. And it's probably also worth saying that he looks like he might be ahead of his world record time here. So he left the farmers' carries after 38 minutes and 49 seconds. In Barcelona, when he set the world record, he left it in 39:32. So he's ahead of that world record pace at the moment as well.
All right. I'm going to drink something and get myself ready for another potential world record water race, which makes it even more impressive to see where Alex is.
Yeah, it does. It does, absolutely. Even like in Chicago the other week, Alex finished 3rd. Wasn't really looking at him because there were dominant performances from the other 2, and he still came up with, I think it was a 56 something in his time, which is one of the fastest times ever. So it almost goes unnoticed because there's other dominant performers, but his times are incredible.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, just looking at the numbers where the world record stands, this means today could be the first time ever we see a time of 53 minutes and something.
Yeah. And he put on his YouTube channel in the past couple of weeks that he did a simulation at home in his gym, and he said that was on world record pace. Now, obviously, you need to translate that to race day, but he ran at a pace that would set him the world record.
But just looking at the times now, we want to talk about the world record and everything, but we talked about that 4th position that we most likely need today, the way the race unfolds, to be able to qualify for the World Championship. And 4th and 5th and 6th are now 2 seconds apart after the farmer's carry. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, we could have another wall ball off for a place at the World Championships here, like we did in Chicago between Vivian Tafuto and Linda Meyer. It's gearing up to be something similar.
Okay, but we're getting ready for the sandbag lunges now. Hunter McIntyre is in the workout zone. Not completely out of contention, by the way. Tim Vanish, who closed 15 seconds at the farmer's carry on the guys in front of him, is only 30 seconds down. But let's look at the man in the lead, and let's look at the time of Alex Ronchevich when he's coming in. Hunter McIntyre, he is ready for the sandbag lunges. He grabs the bag, and here we go. Judges are going to look very carefully, make sure that knee touches the ground.
So he's stepping through there. He's not having to have a little pause midway through the steps. That shows, at least in these early stages of lunges, that he's still feeling good. Now, if he can continue to do that, it'll be a very quick time here. Normally, people need to have a little pause, and there he just had this first little pause.
Okay, but Alex Ronchevich, he only lost 3 seconds on that last run. His running is there. It's up to par with Hunter McIntyre right now, as we're seeing here. I'm getting a little bit excited. This might be a new world record, but not just that. We see Alex Ronchevich absolutely trying to make a move here as well. And now the big question is, so this is the first time now we've seen Hunter McIntyre taking this little step in between. That just shows, it's really hurting right now. But just as we had it with Megan Jacoby, he knows exactly where he is. He knows exactly what his time is, what the current world record is, and that he has a chance to go 53 minutes here today.
I've seen Hunter before talk about he doesn't really look at where he is in a race until he gets on the row, and then the row is a point where he sort of has an assessment, looks at his time, so he'd have known that he's on a good pace. But you can see here, like I mentioned, how good Alex is on the lunges. He's certainly moving through these quicker at the moment than Hunter might be.
He definitely is at the moment, but Hunter's doing incredibly well, without doubt, right now. And he's still got about a lap of lunges ahead of Alex, who's for the first time now taking that little step in between as well. Clean transition there at the end, clean turnaround. And Michael Sandbach, he's into the lunges now as well, but we want to see where's the competition behind Michael, because this is what you said, this is where he's going to suffer. Right, yeah. So that spot within the top 4 that he needs for the World Championship, it's not safe for him yet. Okay, but just looking at it, Hunter McIntyre, this is absolutely amazing how he's putting down those sandbag lunges. Alex Ranchevich not really closing the gap by a lot, maybe by a meter just now, but there is still that gap of about 40 seconds between the two of them. So it is all going to come down to those wall balls for Hunter McIntyre and the world record for Alex Ranchevich to see if he can challenge Hunter McIntyre. And of course then right behind that duel for the remaining world championship slot. Alex Ranchevich, he's done. He's safe. He's got his spot, right? Hunter's going to confirm. We don't doubt that anymore. But what's happening behind, between Michael Sandbach, James Kelly, Jonathan Wynn, and Bo Wills? Hunter McIntyre, he is done with the 7th workout here at the 2nd major of the season, live from Stockholm. You see the athletes grid right now on the big screen, and our number 1 athlete in the lead is out on that final run kilometer, making his way towards the final workout station. The make it or break it wall balls here on the way to a potential world record. So let's see if Alex Ranchevich has a chance coming from behind or not. We're waiting for his sandbag lunges out time. Hunter McIntyre lunges out 45.59.
45.59. When he set the world record, that was 46.33. So he's ahead of that pace now. Sometimes this last run can be a little bit longer depending on different courses.
But we're talking 35 seconds here. I mean, we're not talking Megan Jacoby 2 seconds. We're talking 35 seconds right now. And that is with those no reps that he had earlier at the burpees where he was sent back. I mean, we're talking 50 seconds that he lost on his own world record pace, which just shows how incredibly fast he is generally on the run and all the other workouts right now.
Yeah, so Alex left the sandbag lunges 35 seconds behind, so he clawed back 8 seconds on Hunter on that station. So probably not enough to win the race.
It's not, but it's enough for Hunter if the runs have been very even. So if Alex can get to the wall balls with like a 30-second deficit, 40-second deficit, it's enough for Hunter to feel him, to have him there and maybe get that extra push himself.
Yeah, and Hunter studies this sport a lot, and he studies the athletes. He will know with 100% certainty that Alex can do these wall balls unbroken. So if he sees Alex coming into the wall balls not too far behind him, he knows he's going to have to dig deep if he wants to win.
But look at him, how he's gritting the teeth right now. Hunter McIntyre, he knows exactly now, I'm just going to give it everything on that last run. He probably also knows that he's going to gain more time by having a super fast 1K now than he's going to lose by just taking 4 to 5 seconds longer to start the wall balls because he needs to take a breath. But absolutely going for it. He knows he's on world record pace here in Stockholm. Not just him, but the supporters, everybody looking at the watches right now as he's flying around the circuit. 2 1/4 laps to run, not for this man anymore. He is very soon turning into that workout zone. And look at him pumping and absolutely giving everything. I mean, let's face it, he knows he's going to bring it across the line in a good enough position to qualify for the world champs. This is all or nothing right now to get that world record or not.
Yeah, this isn't about qualifying for the World Championships anymore. This is purely about breaking a world record.
World record day here in Stockholm. Can we see a second one? And this is just the beginning. This is just the majors race, the elite race. Once we're done with that, we got 2,000 athletes here at this Scandic event coming through as well in the open race for everybody. So that's following next, not on the live stream, but here on site. But for now, all eyes on Hunter McIntyre and the chase for the world record in Stockholm.
Just before he gets started, I'll draw your attention to 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th spots. There's only 18 seconds between 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th. So in theory, there's 2 World Championship spots up for grabs between those 4 athletes.
And exactly what you predicted happened already. Michael Sandberg's losing in a serious advantage that he had at the sandbag lunges, and I'm now fully with you. I'm calling it. Michael is not taking the top 4 spot. But here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, our leading man, the man on a mission, Hunter McIntyre, the man who holds the record here. He could be the first man in history of HYROX to go under 54 minutes today. And we're gonna look closely. He's got his referee with him. We want to know where Alex Rancevic is. Stay with us. We're moments away from welcoming the winner and a potential world record holder or new world record setter here across the finish line into the high society of fitness. Here he comes, Alex Rancevic. He's going to go shoulder to shoulder now with Hunter. Quick breather, quick pump here. He knows this is a race. He knows how incredibly well he's doing here. He's going to break his own PB today, I have no doubt at all. And actually looking at the gap that we're seeing here right now, if it wasn't for Hunter being here, Alex might go under world record pace.
I would say Alex is almost bang on the previous world or the current world record pace. Yeah. So yeah, unbelievable performances from the 2 of them today.
And it's super interesting to see what we saw today is that Hunter is getting a little closer in terms of workout speed to Alex, but Alex has clearly worked on his run because there's no doubt, we weren't sure, but we know now that Hunter wasn't running slow. That's for sure, but Alex was there. I mean, even on this one, he lost 2 seconds on that last kilometer.
Alex has always had an amazing endurance base. He's got a swimming background. He used to swim 80 kilometres a week, so he's got that endurance. But he's like you say, his running technique isn't necessarily like the standard.
But he's got that endurance. But I don't want to offend anybody out there. You know it yourself. If you're an elite swimmer, a lot of them are terrible runners. It's just you don't run a lot in the water, and it's only so much cross-training you do. And it's incredible how he evolved, how he developed as a HYROX athlete over the years. It's probably not going to be enough to take the win here today, but he's leaving a mark. He's sending a message to Hunter McIntyre, that's for sure. And we're looking down at the wall balls. 70 wall balls done for Hunter McIntyre, and this is the shortest break he's ever taken at 70 wall balls because he knows he cannot lose time on Alex.
And it is so tempting when you break there. It's so tempting to take 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It's so easy to do, but if you just manage to get yourself going once again.
But Alex Rancevic, he's taking that break as well. He knows he's not going to catch Hunter today, so back at the wall balls now, and Bo Wills is at the wall balls together with Michael Sandberg. Bo Wills has a shot at coming in 3rd here.
Amazing performance from Bo today.
Amazing what he is showing here today, but the competition is not far behind. Here comes Sean Wynn, he's on the way, but it is the final wall balls. 92 done, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, we got 8, we got 9, we're coming down to the final wall ball. Is it going to be a world record or not? Here he comes, Hunter McIntyre. 53:23. Hold my beer, what just happened? Whoa. 53:23. That is just ridiculous. What the? Dude, what a race. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. 53:23. Wow. I mean, we knew today was a good day for setting records, but did you expect that?
44 seconds he's knocked off a world record. This looked almost untouchable. He's knocked
and
44
now it's
seconds
96, 97 for Alex. He's got 3 to go. 2 to go, and the very last wall ball for Alex Ranchevich. 4:17. What a race! 54:17 for Alex. That is crazy, and we're looking down at the wall balls. We see Michael Sandbach, and we see what unfortunately we're used to from him. He is suffering at the wall balls. He's got Bo Wiltz next to him. He got James Kelly there. He's got John Winder. He needs to absolutely push it right now. Tim Vanish out of contention. Terrible sandbag lunges he had there. He dropped back all the way to 9th. He lost a minute at the sandbag lunges. But this is the duel here for the world champs. We talked about it plenty. You need to, Alex qualified. Hunter took 1 slot, so 3 and 4 overall are going to the world championship. Who's going to take 3 and 4? It's the duel between Michael Sandbach, Bo Wiltz, James Kelly, and Jonathan Wynn. Those are really the ones who have a shot here.
Long
to
break from
punch that
James
ticket
Kelly.
to the world championship.
Long break there from James Kelly. So this is between the 3 of them, two places for the World Championships up for grabs. They came in, Bo was 6 seconds behind Sandy, and then James Kelly was 18 seconds behind. But that's a long break from James Kelly. And now there's a break from Sandy. You can't let that, yeah, so he's picked up the ball very quickly there. He's got going again, but he did have a break.
And it looks like Bo Wiltz is on his final 2 or 3 wall balls here. If I see that right, here he comes. Bo Wiltz punching the ticket, 3rd overall in the lead race. What a legend, 56:04. What a race from Bo Wiltz. Incredible racing here. We got 1 more ticket though. 1 more ticket for the World Championship between Michael Sandbach. 7.
Looks like it's going to be Sandy.
It is going to be Michael. It is Michael Sandbach who punches the ticket to the World Championship, coming in 4th here at the 2nd major in Stockholm. What a race, and look at how close it was. James Kelly, that was just the moment you talked about, that 1 break that was just a moment too long.
8 seconds James Kelly was behind Michael Sandbach there for a place at the World Championships. Unbelievable performance from Bo Wiltz, 56:04.
That is brutal. That just hurts.
56:04 from Bo Wiltz, 56:34 from Michael Sandbach, 56:42 from James Kelly. Incredible performances from all of them. Like Bo Wiltz didn't perform in Chicago.
And I can see Hunter McIntyre coming to the interview. Of course, we want to hear from him when he had a chance to congratulate everybody here. You know, making sure he looks decent. Getting his shirt on. What an incredible race here. Hunter McIntyre taking the win, the world record, and he's just getting ready to talk to you. Hunter.
Yeah.
You can hear me. That's good. I'm probably more out of breath than you. I lost it up here. I mean, this was incredible. Obviously, was it the goal from the get-go, world record? This is what you're going for today?
No, we talked about it as a team. 52 is the goal this season, but you know, as I still say, this is beer drinking season for me. I strongly believe in a good off season, spending time with family. Like, I was just home for Thanksgiving. I went and I spent time with my crew in London. We're drinking beer, we're having fun. We take the season serious later, but we did a test before we came out here and we got exactly 53 in the test, so it played out here today.
Hey, you look good out there today for being out of shape, I gotta say.
Oh, thanks, brother. Yeah. You know, I gotta stay sexy for the pictures.
Oh, totally. You know, you ran into a little bit of trouble there at the burpees, I think. A couple of no reps there. We looked at it. You were there at the 52, man. You lost 50 seconds compared to your previous record on the burpees. So 52. Why don't we go for 51?
I think it's possible. It's just, you know, as somebody who's like a diligent sport studier and athlete as well, I think it's really important you look at cycles of training and you want to hit things that are attainable and then go past them. So for us this season is 52. maybe next season 51. It's all a possibility, but you know, when I first started the sport, I think I ran like a 60 flat. So now we're 7 minutes off of it, and I've been number one since the first day I walked in. So I mean, I'm lucky to have the skill, and I'm lucky to have the team. I'm lucky to have sponsors like Represent to help me get through it all. So in reality, you know, slow and steady wins the race.
100%. Just to finish it off, I mean, like we talked about it before the race, like this is going to be the Hunter McIntyre show a little bit, but Alex was there.
Yeah.
I mean, you set a new world record, and yet you couldn't check him properly. How happy does it make you to see the boys are there? They're ready to push.
I think it's good. You know, I mean, sport is sport. I think the only thing that makes it interesting is champions falling and underdogs rising kind of thing, and then all of a sudden, if it's a true champion, you rise again. A couple years ago, I lost my world title, and then a race afterwards, I lost the national championship, and then the following race, I broke the world record. So it's like, this will push me to move faster next time, and it will get these guys motivated that they're close enough to keep on competing.
Hunter, congratulations. Great to see you here. Congratulations on the world record, and then can't wait to see what you do at the World Championship.
Thanks, brother. Biceps run races. I'll see you guys at the next race.
All right, so much from our champion, the man who set the new world record. But this is a man I really want to talk to right now.
Yeah, really.
Michael.
Right, bro.
You've proven me wrong. I know I'm going to admit it, even though you look way stronger than me. We saw you lose that ticket at the wall balls before it happened.
Yeah.
And you understand why, but they were there. Like, how much work has gone into those final workouts that in the past you struggled a little bit with?
Every session now. Every session, like, I've got a coach, but my wife coaches me more than anyone. She sees every race. So like 2 or 3 times a week, she's not a PT, but she will tell me exactly what I need to do. And it's always the back end of the race, lunges, wall balls. She has me doing hundreds of them. I'm still not the best, but it's damage control.
Damage control in a great way. You punched the ticket. Congratulations, of course. Did you worry at all? Did you see where Kelly was? Just take us through the wall balls a little bit.
Yeah, I thought I was further ahead than I was. Previously, my head would have completely gone. But I changed my mindset. I just blanked everything out. And like Bo was right behind me. But it doesn't matter. Like I was just thinking, just keep going. It doesn't matter. Don't worry. What will happen, and hopefully my training pays off. And you know, I didn't beat Bo. I came in before him, but he's really good at them. I'm average, and I'm happy with what I did.
Hey, and a lot of races to come. Did you make a plan for like, what if I qualify for the World Championship? What do you want to achieve, or is it something you sit down with a team, with a wife now, and then make the plan?
I had no plan. The whole thing was on this day. I live in the Middle East, so it's not easy to travel now. 7 hours nearly for every race. So my whole season's going to look differently now. I don't need to qualify. I've done it, so I can speak to my coach Ryan, and I'll try and do a different block of training, and I'll pick a race. But I don't need to hit race dates now. I can just relax a bit. Maybe have December not fully off, but I need to just calm down, chill out, have time with the family, maybe regroup 2024 and build.
Hey, still a long way to go to June until Nice. Beyond stoked to see you punch that ticket here.
Man.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy that off season, and then
you.
see you at the races next year.
Cheers, bro. Thank you.
What a great race here. Absolutely punching the ticket here today for Michael Sandbach as well. And we've got Alex ready for the interview as well. Alex, best race you've ever had?
I mean, it was not my best race. I was already qualified for the World Champ, so it was like just go out, have fun, try to keep up with Hunter, take it a bit easier on the ski, and just to finish a bit better. And it worked out. I'm happy with a new PB, but I'm now like focusing on Vienna, my home race, and looking forward to Nizza.
Well, that's good to know. So you're going to be at your home race in Vienna for sure, even though you got the ticket.
I mean, I have to. It's like all my family is going to be there, a lot of friends, and I just want to have this great crowd, and I have this great backup from all of them, and I need to show them something.
Absolutely. You've proven us wrong today. You know, we keep joking swimmers can't run, but you've definitely proven us wrong today. So we had this head-to-head before we went into the race, and your average run at HYROX is about 3 minutes slower than Hunter. Today you lost between 2 to 6 seconds on him. How much work went into that running?
I mean, I worked a lot on my runs. I used to do like triathlons during my swimming career, and I have a bit. I'm not like a super realist swimmer, you know. I always could like run from my university times and everything. But I mean, the average times are not like pretty accurate because you have to like pick the same courses and then take the average, you know. And that's not. I don't think I'm like 4 minutes slower than Hunter on the runs.
No, that's. I was really surprised to see them, but yeah, no. Today, really, everything came together. What's your off season going to look like until Vienna?
I mean, I have no off season. My off season was in summer.
Yep.
I'm now in training. I'm always like trying to stay fit. I think that's why I'm always like staying in the front, and I can almost always like run a good HYROX. And yeah, I mean, I'll focus a lot more on the runs for sure, and just try to keep my strength, because like much more strength is not necessary for this kind of competition. Yeah, it's a lot of more running, and I will try to improve my runs and hopefully catch up to Hunter at the World Champs.
Mr. Consistency strikes again. Congratulations. Enjoy the Christmas time, and then see you in Vienna.
For sure. Thank you. You too.
All right, here we go. And one more man to talk to, of course, because what a race. Bo Will's with me on my phone. Bo, what a race.
Thank you.
I mean, I asked Alex, would you say this was your best race ever so far?
Absolutely, yeah. Like I felt horrible the whole time, but a little less horrible than normal, I guess. And it kind of stayed just under the red line the whole time. I knew I could. I wasn't sure with John and James on those last few stations and rounds of running if I could stay with them. I knew I had a chance to get in a qualifying position if I could stay near them on the wall balls. Like, I know John and James are good at wall balls, but Sandy often struggles, so I was in a good position coming into the wall balls, just a little behind Sandy.
You know, we call Alex Mr. Consistency. I want to call you Mr. Progression. I mean, it's just going up and up and up and up. Just with having this race and this performance, does that change expectations for next year, also leading up into the World Championship?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't think I was really in contention for podiums on these races. After Chicago, my confidence got hit quite a bit. I had a few things going on that I could have used as excuses, and I was hoping they were excuses. And then today it kind of showed, I think, that they were legit excuses. So yeah, that was like really a surprise for me today to get in the top 3. That was crazy.
Looking forward to seeing what you can do next season, Bo.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Enjoy the Christmas time. All right, that's it from our athletes here today. What a spectacular race day so far here at the second major in Stockholm. Greg, absolutely just amazing. Hunter McIntyre 53.22. We've got Alex 54.16. Incredibly fast race in here. Incredible performances. Just quickly sum it up from your end. What did we just see?
Unbelievable on the men's and the women's side. Like Hunter McIntyre, unbelievable world record, like over 40 seconds off of his previous time, which was already incredible. Then Alex Rontrovic, just 6 seconds slower than Hunter's previous record. Bo Will's coming through, claiming a spot at the World Championships with 56.03. That's one of the quickest times that we've seen in the sport from someone that like just didn't perform 3 weeks ago in Chicago. And then Michael Sandbach as well. Like, that's a significant PB for him to get a spot at the World Champs.
And we talked so much about the World Championship slots, so this is what we're talking about right now. Safe and definitely in. We got Ryan Kent, we've got Alex Ronchevich, we've got Pelayo, who didn't have the best of races here today, Hunter McIntyre, Bo Wills, Michael Sandbach.
Sorry, I should interrupt you. Yeah. I think there's an error on that graphic there. Pelayo hasn't got a spot at the World Championships. Rylan Shadegg claimed a spot at the World Championships in Chicago.
True that. Good point. And you know, this is sort of like the aftermath after the race. You see the women's elite. This is the nice thing about the sport, right? The atmosphere in here was just amazing all day long. We saw the women support the men support the women. And since we just had the men, we also want to take a look at the women's qualifiers. I'm going to leave this to you so you can otherwise Correct.
No, this one's great. Megan Jacobi, Lauren Weeks, like the two dominant females in the two elite races that we've seen so far this year. Megan is the world record holder as of today, obviously, and then Linda, Michaela, and Rebecca Mason already shaping up on the men and the women's side to be an incredible race.
Spectacular. Great to see them. Great to see Rebecca going through. To see Michaela going through. Really a fantastic day. I think the majors are proven to be everything and more than we expected. I hope you guys had a good time out there. Thank you so much for being on my side today. Been a fantastic morning spent with you. Thank you to everybody out there for watching today, for being part of the show, for all your comments and everything in the comment boxes in YouTube. And then just a look out, Vienna, the next major, beginning of the year next year. Then we've got Washington, and then we got the open races with Cologne and with Anaheim before heading into the World Championship. Make sure to tune into the majors. Next one, Vienna, I mentioned it. Enjoy the day, have a wonderful weekend, and we say goodbye from Stockholm.
Bye.